of the large trucks and buses around you. They take longer to stop, have large blind spots, and make wide turns that require caution from other drivers. It takes all of us working together to share the road safely. Learn more at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov. Paid for by FMCSA.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him! It's a sack!
Sixers.
Oh, baby!
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program?
Yeah. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
Now, live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Thursday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN, powered by First Bank of Seattle. How about them Phillies? 2 straight wins in LA. Some of the Phillies this hour on the course, the next 4 hours on 97.3 ESPN. I'm sure that Nick Earnshaw has something to say about the Phillies coming up at 4:30 for today's edition of Nick's Nuggets. We also got a lot of football to get to coming up as we are counting down. We are about 28 hours, maybe a little less actually, from the first Eagles preseason game of the 2024 season. Jalen Hurts spoke to the media. I got some specific reactions to some of what Jalen Hurts said a little bit later in the show. Here's the guest lineup for today. Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media. Of course, he is all over the Eagles day in and day out. We will talk with him coming up here on 97.3 ESPN at 3:30. Andrew DiCecco is back for Football 4, powered by the Inside the Bird podcast. We'll break down the NFC East with Andrew and plus get his thoughts on where the Eagles are heading into their preseason game, because there is speculation right now that Philadelphia is going to potentially play their starters at some point in the preseason. We don't know when, we don't know how much, but there's a lot of speculation out there that is coming. Okay. So we will get to that as well with Chris Franklin and Andrew DiCecco coming up. Also, Mike Golic Jr. Of course, you catch him on the Gojo and Golic morning show on the DraftKings Sports Network. We'll get a full picture review from Golic Jr. about an outsider's look into the Eagles. Big picture on Philadelphia coming up, as well as the NFL with Mike Golic Jr. at 5:25 tonight. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. And if you have the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, you would have gotten the alert that Nick Foles is officially retiring. Nick Foles made a specific comment during his retirement announcement, the 2 minutes and 24-second clip that if you go to 973ESPN.com right now on the 973 ESPN mobile app, you can click your way to watch that full video. But I have a specific part of what he said that stood out to me. We will get to coming up in about 20 minutes from now. But we got to start with your Philadelphia Phillies. And I told you guys yesterday that I had legitimate concerns going into this road trip. But I also told you guys, if you've been listening to Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, I told you guys that the Phillies' goal all along should be to get 2 out of 3 in LA because there's no guarantees when you go to Arizona this weekend. And by the way, for those who didn't know, the Diamondbacks are giving out some of their celebratory "we beat the Phillies" in the NLCS stuff today. So they're literally just going to rub it in the Phillies' face this weekend that we beat you in the NLCS on your field. So now when you're back on our field, we're going to rub it in your face. We're going to put your face in the dirt. What a nice group of guys. What a bunch of friendly people. Scumbags. But this is going to be a tough series. We already knew that because the Diamondbacks are a team that thinks they have a psychological edge over you. And then you know how it is. If you believe you could beat someone, you're more likely to beat them. We also knew that getting wins in the Dodgers series was important because you just lost the way you did in Seattle. Remember, they should have won the game on Saturday, that extra innings game where everything fell apart. So you found a way to get 2 out of 3 in Los Angeles. And I told you guys yesterday that Gavin Stone could be had. The guy was not great recently, okay? In his last 5 starts, he had an over 7 ERA coming into the game last night. And he also had allowed 7 home runs going into the game last night. And then Kyle Schwarber happened. Listen, I thought Schwarber would, hit a home run in this series. I didn't think he would seemingly hit all the home runs in this series. Kyle Schwarber had 3 home runs last night, 7 RBI. He literally carried the offense last night on a night when Bryce Harper went 0 for 5, when Brandon Marsh gave you nothing. Alec Bowe even struggled to plate 1 for 5. GT Realmuto gave you nothing. Bryson Stott gave you nothing. Austin Hayes left the game early due to a hamstring pull. Kyle Schwarber said, "Boys, get on my back. Let's go." That's what he said last night. And this is the embodiment of the Dave Dombrowski philosophy. This is the embodiment of what Dave Dombrowski has been trying to do with this organization from day one. The idea that if we have a ton of sluggers on our team, we have a bunch of guys, we have a bunch of people who can pick up when other guys don't have a good night. The idea being that Schwarber, Harper, Bohm, Turner, Castellanos, Realmuto, they are all not going to be on every night. They're not going to be 100% every night. They are not going to be all locked in every single night. One of them is going to have a better night than the rest somewhere along the way. By the way, Trey Turner went 2 for 5 last night, I believe, as well. So, but Schwarber now has turned into the guy that we are now looking to as this road trip progresses. You may not know this, but I understand that people have been frustrated with the Phillies recently, and I get it. It's been a very, very frustrating stretch since the All-Star break. But there is one bright spot. That has been Kyle Schwarber. And maybe this goes back to the whole idea that during the All-Star break, Schwarber was at home resting and hitting the reset button while guys like Hoffman and Strahm and Sanchez and Suarez and Harper and Turner and Bohm, they all went to the All-Star game. They all had fun, but they didn't really get to rest. Schwarber got to sit at home, hit the reset button, go do whatever he needed to do to get his mind right. Well, he got his mind right all right, because in the 18 games since the All-Star break, Kyle Schwarber has 8 home runs in those 18 games, 19 RBI in those 18 games. He is batting .318 over that stretch, slugging .742, which for those who don't know is pretty good. So for as much as these guys have struggled, and they really have, as much as they have struggled this year, in this recent stretch, has guys like Harper and Turner and Real Muto when he came back, Kyle Schwarber has almost single-handedly been carrying this team. The Philadelphia Phillies, during the Dodgers series, scored a grand total of 18 runs. Kyle Schwarber is responsible for half of those runs. Kyle Schwarber had 9 RBI alone against the Dodgers. So of the 18 runs, Kyle Schwarber was the guy. It really goes to show you that the concept of the way they built this team for the Phillies, it does work. It does make sense on a certain level, that you want to have all these sluggers and all these hitters going out there. And when one guy is having a bad day or a bad week, someone else can step up. And as I said, it was so important to get those 2 wins with the Dodgers. You had 2 pitchers you could take advantage of. Kershaw, not the Kershaw that he used to be, still not 100% as he comes back from the injury. And I told you guys, Gavin Stone, last 5 starts, over 7 ERA. Some people were kind of making fun of me with that stat. Well, at least in this case, I was right. Okay. Now, though, you go to Arizona. This is where the story gets interesting. 4-game series in Arizona. Tonight, it's supposed to be Kobe Allard getting the start. Not thrilling. Jordan Montgomery, a left-handed pitcher, is going for the Diamondbacks. Now, I don't know when exactly with the lineup. I know that for the Dodgers series, we've been getting it around 6:30. So that's 3.5 hours ahead. So if we're getting it around 6:30 for games that start at 10:10 Eastern, I'm hoping we get it by 5:30 here on 97.3 ESPN for you for a 9:40 game, right? A game that's a half hour early. You're hoping you might get the lineup before 6 o'clock. Hopefully. But the bad news is there's a left-handed pitcher on the mound tonight. The good news is he has a 6.37 ERA this year. The good news is Jordan Montgomery is not the Jordan Montgomery that you remember at all. Okay? This isn't the guy that had a clutch postseason, right? This is a guy who in 2 of his last 4 starts has allowed at least 6 earned runs in those starts. He has pitched a grand total in his last 4 starts of almost 15 innings. A simple way to say it is that's not good. So the Phillies do have a chance to get a win tonight if their bats can do their job. Tomorrow night, you got Zach Wheeler. He is your best pitcher right now. Nelson, not an elite pitcher for the Diamondbacks, but he is a right-hander. Montgomery's a lefty. This is a righty. So you have a chance, okay? So in theory, you should have an opportunity to win the first 2 games of this series. That's important because Saturday, it's Aaron Nola versus Zach Gallen. And I'm not going to act like I have a ton of confidence in the Phillies to win that game. Not because I think that Aaron Nola is a bum. I think that his last start is more a representation of what his floor is than what his ceiling is. I think Nola can be better, but, here's the thing. Mike Gill mentioned this on the Sports Bash a couple days ago. Josh Hennig filling in on 97.3 ESPN on a Thursday. Mike Gill mentioned that Aaron Nola is very much one of those 90s pitchers who is good but not great. And I really felt that in my soul as someone who loved baseball so much when I watched it in the 90s. And he mentioned 90s pitcher who's good but not good enough. And you know where my mind went? My mind went to guys like, your Kenny Rogers, who pitched for teams like the Rangers and the Tigers and the Yankees. My mind went to pitchers like Livan Hernandez for the Marlins, who had flashes of amazing moments, but was never the most consistent pitcher. My mind went to a guy like Brent Saberhagen, who was great early in his career, but as he got older, he lost his stuff pretty quickly. My mind went to those pitchers who none of them are going to the Hall of Fame. But boy, some of them were pretty darn good. And if you can get more good than bad out of Nola, I can live with it. The problem isn't Nola on Saturday. The problem is the other guy. Zach Gallen is a very good pitcher. And I know he had a rough outing in his last start. But since returning from the injury that he sustained, because remember, he missed a month of playing time due to an injury this year. If you remove the last start, he's been solid. Is he still finding his way? Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit. He's had up and down games, but they've been alternating. When he has a bad game, he suddenly has a good game. Here's how it works. First start back, no earned runs. Next start back, 3 earned runs. Next start, 4 earned runs. Next start, 6. Next start, no earned runs, then 3 earned runs, and 1 earned run, then 5. Don't bet on Zach Gallen being the guy who gave up 5 runs again. Expect the guy who is going to give you 3 earned runs, if that. Because remember, on the entire season, he only has 4 starts where he's allowed more than 3 earned runs. Yeah, 4. Okay? Out of 19. You might lose that game. Just letting you know. Now, we don't know who's pitching on Sunday for the Diamondbacks. That is still unannounced, but I'm assuming they'll announce it sooner than later. And then the expectation is that Taijuan Walker will return probably on Tuesday or Wednesday next week. He will be back. Turnbull, they're hopeful for September. Ranger Suarez, we don't know yet. But you got to survive Arizona first. And by the way, there's one more concern about the Arizona series. His name is Josh Bell. The Diamondbacks acquired Josh Bell. I don't know what it is about Josh Bell. I don't know how he does it. I don't know why he keeps doing it. But he has been the greatest hitter against the Philadelphia Phillies for the last several years of any player in baseball. It is absolutely incredible that for his career, Josh Bell has 15 home runs in 65 games, along with 49 RBI. This guy consistently hits the Phillies and has big moments and big homers and big hits. By the way, he was on the Marlins earlier this year. If you're wondering what he did this year, he was batting. He has a home run and 7 RBI against the Phillies this year in 7 games played. That means he's an RBI per game. You combine Josh Bell being the great Philly killer with the reality that the Diamondbacks think they have a psychological advantage over you. Like I said, if you think you got somebody, belief is half the battle, folks. So this is going to be a tough series in Arizona, but thanks to Kyle Schwarber, the Phillies escaped Los Angeles, winning 2 out of 3. Kyle Schwarber is like Kurt Russell. He went and escaped Los Angeles as the victor. Not as good a hair as Kurt Russell in that movie, but still. Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank Seattle. Shout out to Luke from Atlantic City saying hello. He's chiming in on the text board at 609-403-0973. All right, so we open on the Phillies. Still to come. We got Eagles talk to get to throughout the show. Jalen Hurts, he had some interesting things to say to the media in the aftermath of the report. And I got to admit, I got to give Hurts a lot of credit. We have all been critical of him for how he answers questions, how in the can, how uninteresting, how unexciting he is at times. He did an amazing job at being honest and being open with the media. So we will get to that coming up as well. But on the other side, we'll get back to your text board messages, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. Seattle, our Phillies conversation being brought to you by Clark's Moving and Storage, located in Rio Grande. Moving is a breeze with Clark's Moving and Storage. Coming up on the other side, Nick Foles announces his retirement, but he makes a specific comment that stood out to me more than the rest of his announcement. He spoke for 2 minutes and 24 seconds, but only 14 seconds of that retirement announcement caught my attention. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill, here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
We have the Phillies covered.
Swing and a drive, right field, way back, forget it, out of here. Kyle Schwarber hammers one over the right field wall.
Get the best Phillies baseball coverage on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
Dennis Malloy here for the Lauder, New Jersey. Feeling lucky? Well, it just got even easier to order lottery tickets online. The Lauder, New Jersey is here and raring to go with daily pick draws, local favorites like Jersey Cash 5, and multi-state record breakers like Powerball and Mega Millions. Try out the Lauder, New Jersey from home or on the go today and get 100% cash back on your first entry. 100% cash back. Just visit nj.thelauder.us. Must be 18 or older to buy a lottery ticket. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Madam Giselle senses something in your future.
Is my boyfriend going to propose?
It's a big storm.
Wait, we're going to get in a fight?
No, a literal storm. Wind, heavy wind. I see a tree falling on your RV.
Oh, that's fine. I'm covered by Progressive. So, is my boyfriend there? Maybe on one knee?
The entire roof is crushed.
So, no ring.
Be prepared for the unexpected with Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Product features subject to policy terms and may not be available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a premium freeze-dried raw dog food designed to support your dog's health, happiness, and lifespan. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of cod Krispies. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Beyond's bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, if you have ugly, yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
Score a touchdown when you bank with Jersey Shore Federal Credit Union. Catch lower rates on loans and higher rates on savings. You'll cheer when you don't have to pay a penny to get your own money, since they offer 85,000 surcharge-free ATMs. Get the details or open an account online with just a $25 minimum deposit at JerseyShoreFCU.org, or swing to a branch in Northfield, Galloway, Hamilton, or Rio Grande. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm embarrassed to say this. I've been using deodorant on my armpits for 30 years, and anytime I noticed odor anywhere else, I thought I needed another shower, I wasn't clean, or I felt like there was something wrong with me. And then my gynecologist told me about Lumi. It's a whole body deodorant for pits, feet, and privates that controls odor anywhere and everywhere on your body. Since Lumi, I never have to worry about body odor ever again, anywhere on my body. And that reassurance is worth every penny.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code SHOWER and get 15% off your first purchase with code SHOWER, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER for 15% off your first purchase. With over 200,000 five-star reviews, I am so sure you're going to love it. Or return it for free with Lumi's 60-day money-back guarantee. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER to save 15% today.
This is the famous footwear that makes us actually want to go back to school, with the newest styles from all your favorite brands like Nike, Adidas, Crocs, Converse, New Balance, Birkenstock, and more. You'll find everything kids want, all at prices parents can appreciate, because you don't have to overspend to make it famous. Famous Footwear even has fit experts in store to make sure you get the right size every time. So, for the perfect fit, make it famous. Plus, right now, buy one, get one half off when you shop your local Famous Footwear or famous.com. Some exclusions apply.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Specifically, thank you to the Philadelphia Eagles fans. Thank you for all your support from 2012 when I was drafted to 2017 when I came back. You truly made playing in Philadelphia the most special experience in my football career.
Brought the Philadelphia Eagles their only Super Bowl championship. Super Bowl winning quarterback Nick Foles specifically thanked the Eagles fans. That's a big deal. Because it just goes to show you the kind of person Nick Foles really is. Yeah, I know. Nick Foles talked for 2 minutes, 24 seconds, and it was a lot of stuff you could predict. You would assume, you would project that Nick Foles would say. But I think what's important is that Nick Foles has really become the guy that everyone always hoped would represent the city of Philadelphia and help them win a championship. I don't think it's a coincidence that Nick Foles won a championship in Philadelphia. Because when you think about Nick Foles, you know that you're talking about a guy who is hands down one of the most important people in franchise history. You may not know this, but Nick Foles statistically is more than just a Super Bowl champion. He is more than a Super Bowl MVP. Nick Foles historically is one of the best quarterbacks in Eagles history. We are 6 years removed. Yes, that long. 6 years removed from the last time Nick Foles started a game in an Eagles uniform. He still has the best career passer rating in Eagles history. He also is the third best completion percentage in Eagles history. Just those two numbers alone tell you how the man had the most bizarre career in NFL history. Nick Foles literally only had success with one NFL organization, and that was the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Foles has 82 career touchdowns, and 58 of them were thrown in an Eagles uniform. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a player who had such an amazing impact in one city in a career that spanned as many cities as he did. Because aside from Philadelphia, he played for the St. Louis Rams. Yes, when the Rams were in St. Louis. The Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid, basically, he gives him credit for saving his NFL career. Jacksonville for 1 year. 2 years with the Chicago Bears. And then his final year with the Colts, where everything pretty much went sideways for him. Ultimately, Nick Foles had an amazing Eagles career and pretty much a useless rest of his career. Jeff Fisher tried to end his career. Andy Reid had to save his career. Doug Peterson entrusted him for the Eagles' Super Bowl run and then the second playoff run. Because remember, Wentz got injured again in 2018, that broken back that he had. Foles won in Chicago and then almost won in New Orleans. And you could argue if a couple things go differently in that game. It's the Eagles in the NFC Championship game that year. But then he fell apart in Jacksonville. He was okay in Chicago. Not great. He was okay. And then the rest of his career was pretty nondescript. The only quarterback that I can think of that had anything close to that kind of strange career that Nick Foles had, where all of his success only came with one organization. The only guy I can think of is Doug Williams back in the day. Doug Williams was a mediocre at best quarterback in Tampa. And Tampa was not a good football organization at all, as most people remember at the time during the late 70s and early 80s, to the point where players in Tampa told Bo Jackson, "You do not want to come here," when Tampa drafted him in the NFL draft. The players in Tampa they went to Bo Jackson and said, "You don't want to be here. Don't come here, bro. Go play baseball." Doug Williams went on to Washington, where he won a Super Bowl, was actually the first backup quarterback to win a Super Bowl championship. For those who don't know, Nick Foles is a very interesting select company because it's him, Doug Williams, Jeff Hostetler, and Trent Dilfer. They are the 4 quarterbacks who were the backup quarterbacks for their teams and had to come in later in the season and lead a team on a championship run to a championship. What's interesting about that group of players is that realistically, Nick Foles has something in common with all 3 of them. Like Doug Williams, he had his best years with only one organization. For Doug Williams, it was Washington. For Nick Foles, it was Philadelphia. Like Jeff Hostetler, Nick Foles was a highly regarded quarterback coming out of college, but he was not drafted in the higher rounds coming out of college. And he came into a situation where he basically had to be the backup quarterback at first. There was no scenario where he was supposed to be the starter in Philadelphia. And then the amazing 2013 season happened. We had 28 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 13 games played. So, like Hostetler, he had to wait his turn. He had to bide his time until the organization looked at him and said, well, we need you now. And then he won a Super Bowl. Like Trent Dilfer, Nick Foles played for a lot of teams, but he only won a championship with one team. Like Dilfer, you're talking about a guy in Nick Foles who played outside of Philadelphia in Kansas City, St. Louis, Jacksonville, Chicago, and Indianapolis. That's 5 other organizations. Trent Dilfer, aside from Baltimore when he won a championship, played in Tampa, Seattle, Cleveland, and San Francisco. They all won championships. But you could argue Nick Foles might be the best of the 4. Because when Nick Foles was at his best, he was a legend. When he was at his best, there were a few guys who were better. Now, was he always at his best? Obviously not. Obviously, there were moments where Nick Foles, he wasn't great in some of those games. You know, you go back to that Giants game, that 2017 season, he was good. But the next game against the Raiders, really not good. And even that Falcons game in the playoffs, the Eagles defense won that game. He didn't win that game. Let's be realistic. Come on. Realistically, we know that the Eagles had to get other players to step up to get them to the Super Bowl. But in the biggest game of the year, in Super Bowl 52, Nick Foles outdueled Tom Brady. And that's the other side of the coin. You look at the other backup quarterbacks and you realize that Trent Dilfer didn't win his Super Bowl. The Ravens defense did. How about Jeff Hostetler? Hostetler was very good, but come on. We all know why the Giants won the Super Bowl. Come on. If anybody watched that Super Bowl championship when the Giants won, with Hostetler at quarterback, that was wide left. That's why they won the game. It wasn't because Hostetler was a legend in the game. I think Hostetler only had one touchdown pass in the entire game. Foles had 3 against Bill Belichick. Then you got Doug Williams. And Doug Williams, for those who don't remember, was a phenomenally gifted quarterback. Phenomenally gifted. I mean, the dude had exceptional physical talent. But that Washington defense in Super Bowl 22 basically made the Broncos look like they didn't belong on the same field as them. Yeah, that was John Elway on the other side of the field. But Elway also had 3 interceptions. He got sacked 5 times in that game. And boy, that Washington defense, they played an amazing game. Foles is the only one of the backup quarterbacks who was distinctly and clearly responsible for his championship. And I think that is the part that I will always think about. When the chips were down, Nick Foles was the most clutch quarterback of all the backup quarterbacks to step in and win a championship for their team. Nick Foles to retire as a Philadelphia Eagle. First home game of the season. Monday Night Football against the Falcons in September. That first home game, Nick Foles will be honored. He will retire as a Philadelphia Eagle, as he should. And he will go on to live in infamy, as he already does. And we can expect that, I mean, let's be realistic. Nick Foles is still one of the greatest Eagles quarterbacks of all time. And it's crazy saying that, because the rest of his career was pretty average. On the text board at 609-403-0973, an anonymous texter chimes in and says, you forgot about Jim Plunkett. So I didn't forget about Plunkett because I don't really think of Plunkett as a guy who came in the way that, like, Nick Foles was the obvious backup and came in for injury. Jeff Hostetler came in for an injury. Doug Williams came in part injury and part just poor play. Dilfer came in because of poor play. Plunkett, if I remember correctly, he came in as a guy who was, I mean, if I remember correctly, wasn't he a first overall pick? I got to look this up for a minute, because I know he came in for Pastorini that season, but Plunkett was a very highly regarded talent. Let me see here. Yeah, Plunkett was the first overall pick in 1971. Foles, Williams, Dilfer, Hostetler, those guys weren't the first overall pick in the draft. They were not considered elite prospect talents that just never worked out. Plunkett's more like Steve Young, where like he was a bad quarterback somewhere else, and then he got to Oakland and had a Hall of Fame career. Or almost Hall of Fame. I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame yet. But he probably will get there someday, the way things are going right now. I mean, they're putting everybody in now. I mean, I wouldn't put him in personally. I think that his Plunkett's run of success was too small of a window. So I wouldn't put him in. But yes, Super Bowl MVP, two-time champion. I guess in the most literal sense, yes, Plunkett was another one of the backup quarterbacks. I just felt like his set of circumstances reminds me a little more of Steve Young than the other guys. Steve Young was a guy who got to San Francisco. He had a horrible career in Tampa. He was considered damaged goods. And then Bill Walsh basically revived his career, and they eventually traded away Joe Montana and then gave him the reins. So, yes, in the most literal sense, Plunkett did. I think he didn't start the first 5 games of 1980. But he didn't come in because, Pastorini had a season-ending injury, or he was, never going to come back. I always thought of Plunkett coming in more as he was the better player. And they realized that. Squeeze in one more text before we hit the break at 609-403-0973. Also, your DMs can be shot into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Texter says, Foles is one of those guys that was just born to be a Philadelphia guy. He wasn't the craziest skilled, but it was who he was and how he carried himself, like a Bryce Harper, like a Brian Dawkins type of guy. Yeah, if you had to name like the all-time guys who were born to play in Philadelphia, and I'll remind you guys what Nick Foles said during his retirement announcement about Philadelphia.
Specifically, thank you to the Philadelphia Eagles fans. Thank you for all your support from 2012 when I was drafted to 2017 when I came back. You truly made playing in Philadelphia the most special experience in my football career.
And I think in that way, yes, he does fit the Dawkins, Harper, the mold of the guys who embraced what it meant to be a Philadelphia athlete. Jason Kelce goes in that category. I would say Chase Utley fits in that category. Brian Propp fits in that category, the Flyer. There are a group of players who fit into they were born to play in Philadelphia. They were born to embrace what Philadelphia is. Maybe on a little bit of a lesser scale, but like a Keith Primeau, he was born to play in Philadelphia because of his attitude and his tenacity. So, yeah, maybe that's a top 10 list for me and Nick Earnshaw. Not Nick Foles, Nick Earnshaw. Because I know he's going to be filling in with me tomorrow and I believe Monday here, covering for Mike Gill in the Sports Bash. Maybe we'll have to do a top 10 guys who were born to play in Philadelphia. Because I just named what we got: Harper, Dawkins, Kelce, Primeau, Propp, Nick Foles. So I already got 6 of the 10 already off my list. Beat that, Earnshaw. All right, we got to hit the break. 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on the Sports Bash, filling in for Mike Gill on a Thursday. Still to come, we got more football talk. Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media in the next hour, plus Andrew DiCecco on football at 4 p.m. Andrew DiCecco, who covers the Eagles for the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, and Mike Golic Jr. from the DraftKings Network, the co-host of Gojo and Golic Morning Show. All that and more still to come on 97.3 ESPN.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TURN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
High five! Up top! Heck yeah!
Dave's company just got the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business.
Yeah, 5 years!
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
High five for gig speed.
5 years of advanced security.
Security win.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Our rate ain't changing.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
There it is.
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Woohoo!
Now he's got savings.
I'm so excited.
Yep. Dave's feeling it, but it's only for a limited time, so don't wait. Switch today and ask how to get the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping.
Woo! Ends 8/21/24. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflush.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how happy and healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Introducing Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food.
I have been feeding them Dr. Marty's freeze-dried raw formula for years. And this food is a big part of why their jaws are more flexible, their teeth are cleaner, and their coats shinier, and why they seem more youthful and playful.
And dog parents across the U.S. are loving it.
My dog Hazel is a 10-and-a-half-year-old golden retriever. And ever since I've been feeding her Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend food, she is like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
We're so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee. And for a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of cod Krispies. They're wild-caught, ultra-crunchy cod skin treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, wrapping up the 2 o'clock hour. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. You know, Team USA is supposed to play today in the Olympic semifinals against Serbia. I say supposed to play because I literally spent half the commercial break trying to figure out what channel it's going to be on. I understand how in today's world of modern technology, I can't just look up Team USA playing basketball. Like the Olympics are on 5 different Xfinity, NBC related channels. But where's the one button that says, you want to watch USA men's basketball? Click here. I mean, do you think I really care about water polo that much? Do you really think I care about some of these events? I want to watch Xfinity. Come on, man.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles return to open the 2024 preseason tomorrow night in Baltimore against the Ravens.
They've got him! It's a sack! It's Brandon Graham!
Listen to all the action with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick with pregame coverage starting at 6:30 and kickoff at 7:30. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card good for use at Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant in Wildwood for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Seizethedeal.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TURN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code BETTER and get 15% off your first purchase with code BETTER, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME deodorant.com, code BETTER for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME deodorant.com, code BETTER to save 15% today.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City. A community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Raid wants to know, what would you do if you could confidently face every day knowing you and your loved ones are protected? Would you sing along to your favorite song at the top of your lungs? Turn off the GPS and let your heart do the guiding? Go to the drive-thru and order one of everything? Feel the buzz of confidence of knowing you are protected with 65 years of insect science in your hands. Raid. Protection for everyone.
Forget the boat trip. Cancel the cookout. It's the Matt Blatt Nissan July Blowout.
Get a cooking hot deal. New Nissan Sentra SV, just $159 per month lease. Or Kicks S, just $199 per month lease. And zero security deposit.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
New Nissan Rogue, 0 down and 0% financing for 36 months. Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trade Man can get you released. So bring it to Matt Blatt Nissan and drive home a new Kicks S, just $199 per month. Or Sentra SB, only $159 per month lease. Both with zero security deposits, $29.99 due. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. VIN RL544560 and RY282964. Central lease selling price $23,694. Kick selling price $22,944. Offer ends 8/6/2024.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
For Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Good news, I found what channel the men's Olympic game is on. It's on USA. Because when I think of arguably the biggest game of the Olympics, I think of the USA Network. I mean, maybe it's just me, and because I only get to see this stuff, I don't get to see half this stuff live, right? But maybe it's just me. Like, I look around and I'm like, hey, I see stuff on NBC, I see stuff on the Golf Channel, I see stuff on MSNBC sometimes. USA Network always feel like the channel that like they dump like the men's soccer games on or something, or water polo on. I don't know what archery, judo. I'll keep you guys updated on men's basketball versus Serbia. It's really, for those who haven't been paying attention, the USA men's basketball team has actually been playing well in the Olympics, but this is a real Avengers versus Thanos and the Black Order situation for you Marvel fans out there, because it's Nikola Jokic and a bunch of dudes versus arguably the best players in the NBA for America. I think it's so funny that this is where we're at. That literally the future of the men's basketball in America, the United States, is coming down to a showdown with Jokic and the final game against either Germany or France. I'll keep you updated. Josh, let's get back to the Eagles, because there were some very clear and obvious points made by Jalen Hurts when he spoke to the media. Now, we talked about yesterday on 97.3 ESPN, the original report by Tim McManus. Tim McManus didn't see the whole story. Long story short, basically, he confirmed a lot of the reporting and speculation that was out there from last November to basically 2 weeks ago, right? I mean, there's reporting from the Inside Birds guys, Jeff Grocer, Adam Kaplan. There's reporting by Danny Rossini at the Athletic. There was reporting by Albert Breer about MMQB. There was a lot of reporting out there. I can't remember every single person, but I know that a lot of the information in the article was information that was previously put out there, but he got new sources corroborated and added a new layer of depth and substance to the conversation. What went wrong last year? So Jalen Hurts spoke to the media, and there were a couple of answers he gave. And at first, if I don't want to play the full 13 minutes for you guys because, frankly, we'll all go to sleep. And frankly, I don't need another excuse to fall asleep. I need more caffeine, honestly. But Jalen Hurts is not the most exciting person to listen to. And frankly, half of his press conference was a snooze fest. But then, after he had a couple questions about some of the information that was in the article, he kind of perked up. And if you were watching the video of the presser, he says, I'm just curious, what is this in context to? Where is all these questions coming from? Like, he legitimately didn't know about the ESPN.com story, which either is a bad job by the PR department or the PR department knows he doesn't care, usually. So you would have thought he would have been prepped for it, but I thought he gave some incredibly honest answers. And this answer about how he blocks out all the outside noise, I think it's the most genuine answer we've ever gotten from Gill about anything. Because I think this answer really gives those of us who work in the media like myself, Josh Hennig from Mike Gallagher on 973 ESPN, or people who cover the team every day like your John McMullen, your Jeff Moser, and so on and so forth. It really gives also you, the fan, a real clear look into Jalen Hurts' mindset and why he is the way he is. And I genuinely appreciate when I get an athlete who gives answers like this because he's really telling you where his mind is at when it comes to all the stuff outside the building and where his focus is.
It's been a good journey so far, and I think my natural nature is to block out the external factors because I think it comes to a point where sometimes you question so much and the negativity becomes redundant. So this team is one of those teams that's going to do that, especially with the things that we've been able to experience. And it is a proper development. It was a developing time. It was a time of development for us, and that's something we learn from.
First of all, he mentioned the journey of losses, like going from losing in Tampa last year, changing coordinators, the mini camp, OTA, now the training. But he says, look, it's a natural instinct, he says, for him to block out the noise. He says the negativity gets redundant. That is such a huge part of all this because I don't want to try to get philosophical on you guys, but to understand the relevance of that, you got to look into the world we live in. There is so much toxic stuff out there. Okay, I say stuff, so I don't curse on the radio. Stuff out there on social media and on all kinds of platforms. Just tons of content that will generate a slew of negative emotions inside of you. There is so much trash online that Jalen is right. The negativity gets redundant. Because after a while, all you're doing is just repeating what you heard somebody else say. There's so much of what goes on social media that people are just repeating somebody else. Like, by the way, we've all done it. Okay? This is not me criticizing other people. This is a reality check for all of us. How many times a day do you listen to the sound of my voice on 973 ESPN, 973 ESPN mobile app? Power by First Bank CL. How many times a day do you share stories, memes, tweets, Instagram reels, Facebook videos, YouTube shorts, TikTok clips with your friends, your family, your coworkers, right? We are in a society where we are all sharing stuff with each other. There is almost no original thought or content online anymore. So Jalen is right. There is a very intense amount of regurgitation of negative material. And if you're someone like Jalen Hurts, who is very hypercritical of yourself, who's very hard on yourself, who has very high expectations of himself, and you're Jalen, and you got to go through those motions of being like, should have thrown this pass, I should have thrown that pass. The last thing you want is to read an article or a tweet or a comment or a screenshot of someone else criticizing you. A guy like Jalen Hurts is more open to his coaches giving him constructive criticism than you and me. And there's nothing wrong. So for him, he says, look, my natural instinct is to block everything out. That's why I don't know about the ESPN.com article. Listen, I'm focused on the journey. I'm focused on getting my team ready for the season. This is where my focus is, as he explained to the media. His focus is in the here and now in training camp.
It's important for me to come out here and practice and really, push the threshold in terms of where we are as an offense and where my game is, and to continue to have those talks and that dialogue with the coaches and Coach Kelly and Coach Doug. And so, like I said already, I trust, Mr. Lurie, I trust Howard, and I trust Nick to lead us in the right direction with all these different things. And just really focus on being the best player I can be, the best leader I can be right now.
And that gets back to the whole, what is Sirianni and Hurts' relationship. For better or for worse, Jalen Hurts is taking a very literal approach to the hierarchy of his football team. In the ESPN.com article, one of the problems Jalen had last year was he was not getting the same message from everybody. He would talk to Brian Johnson, Nick Sirianni, and he'd get a different message from all of them. And it was frustrating for him. And it seems like now he is sticking to a hierarchy of, look, I mainly communicate with my offensive coordinator and with my quarterback coach. Those are my direct supervisors, right? If you're to use military terms, I'm reading Sal Palantonio's book, How Football Explains America, which, if you're a history buff, it's an amazing book. And one of the things that Sal Palantonio talks about in the book is that the history of how there's like this crossover between the military and football over the decades, right? And how, in football, we use military terms, we use war terms. And so to kind of keep in that framework, you have a guy in Jalen Hurts who is basically saying he looks at the Eagles as a hierarchical leadership. If I'm just using this as an analogy, okay? Please, it's not a literal apples to apples comparison. Please, if you are someone who served in the military, thank you for your service. I appreciate you. But I am not an expert in military hierarchy. Okay? I'm just using this as an example. Jalen Hurts is saying if the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, is, the top general of the military, right? And then under him is the guy who actually is out in the field with the troops, is Howie Roseman, right? And then under Howie Roseman is Nick Sirianni, who is at the front of the line with the troops, right? And then under Sirianni, you have your lieutenants and your sergeants and all those guys, right? There's a hierarchy in the military. Sergeants, lieutenants, captains, generals, colonels. There's all kinds of layers to this stuff. If you go back to the Civil War, while General Grant was the commanding general of the armies of the United States, he had men under him like William Sherman and General Sheridan, all those guys, and they were the ones actually leading the men on the line in the battle. They were the field commanders, and Grant was the man above them. So for I think that, again, this is my opinion, I think that Jalen Hurts looks at this like a military hierarchy. He says that the owner of the team, the general manager of the team, Nick Sirianni, they set the game plan for us. They tell us how we're going to go into battle. But my direct commanding officer is Kellen Moore. And my direct, command has to do with the people who are coaching me up. And I think that's where Jalen Hurts is my favorite. I think this whole idea about Jalen and Nick Sirianni not getting along has very little to do with them not getting along. I think it has to do with the fact that the average person who watches football doesn't understand that Jalen Hurts doesn't think like you. And if he doesn't think like you, he is who he is. Tom Brady is a borderline psychotic individual. Tom Brady, if he wasn't playing football, would probably be classified in some sort of psychological journal because of the fact that he is such an intense competitor. He is such an intense individual that people would be like, this isn't normal. How can you be this kind of person? The reality is that people like Tom Brady and Michael Jordan and all these guys, the reason they're successful professional athletes is because they are so weird. They are so different. And so part of the issue for a team like the Eagles is you have a coach, and I thought Diana Rossini verbalized this perfectly on the Scoop City podcast. Diana Rossini explained, look, there's a distinct difference in personalities here. And it's not that these guys don't get along. It's that they just have a completely different worldview than each other and how they handle their business.
We've seen Jalen on the sideline with Nick, and it never looked like they were going at one another, but you could tell there was definitely a difference in personality. So the way I would describe it is it's a relationship that's a work in progress, right? So last year, there was some disconnect, right, between them in their personalities. Nick, we've seen, he's a very emotional guy. Jalen is a very private guy. They are different human beings, which is fine. That's okay. You don't all have to be the same, but you do have to be on the same page.
That's the key. You have to be on the same page. And I think that's why I'm looking at Jalen Hurts for who he is and not what the negativity out there is. I think there's a lot of people who they're uncomfortable with intense people. They're uncomfortable with hyper-competitive people. Is Jalen Hurts a little too serious sometimes? Yeah, perception-wise he is. But guess what? I think there are people who say the same thing about me. I think that I have worked with people, and I've known people who have told me, Josh, you're too serious. You care too much about your job. You're too passionate. And it's like, it's who I am. So I understand where Jalen is coming from. Now, I think I laugh more than Jalen Hurts does. I think I enjoy life a little more than Jalen does. I think Jalen is even too serious and stoic for even someone like me. But I get where Hurts is coming from with his mentality, with his attitude, because being a misunderstood individual is very common in a world where everybody is trying to look and act like other people. Jalen is not trying to fit in. Jalen is trying to be himself. And that's why I also appreciate the other part of this conversation that he had with the media. He admitted something that was talked about in the Tim McManus article. Because in the Tim McManus article, it talks about how Jalen was hoping to go in the last season with more autonomy in the offense. That he felt, hey, you're paying me $180 million guaranteed. I should have a certain level of autonomy and command of this offense. I should be allowed to go out there and make pre-snap calls and make certain changes at the line of scrimmage. There were a lot of times last year, and I am quoting the verbiage of the film gurus out there, the Brian Baldingers, the Jason Avants, Brian Baldinger, NFL Network and NFL Films, Jason Avant, of the Q&A show on the Inside the Birds podcast platform, Emery Hunt of CBS Sports, Greg Cosell of NFL Films, they all described the Eagles offense running off of a lot of predetermined throws, okay? If you watch college football, you know the quarterback only has option 1, option 2, or run in a lot of those offenses. They ran a similar system in Philadelphia where they were directing Jalen to go to certain spots, certain situations on the field, and Jalen was not allowed to deviate from some of those. Now, part of that was also because Jason Kelsey's calling the lines, making the line calls at the line of scrimmage. So Jalen, he may see something like Kelsey doesn't see, but he's not allowed to make that change at the line of scrimmage. And he's being told, stick to the play that we called, do what we're telling you, don't make any crazy adjustments. And by the way, when they made those crazy adjustments, like in the Seattle game on Monday Night Football, Jalen Hurts threw an interception because him and A.J. Brown decided to go, basically go wild and say, who cares what play calls? We're going to do this. It didn't work out for them, which made Hurts and his teammates feel worse because they're like, we tried something our own way and it didn't work. And it was worse than the play that you called in terms of the outcome. So as a result of all that, the article from Tim McManus explains, look, Jalen wanted a level of autonomy in the offense. He couldn't have it because he had Jason Kelsey calling certain calls at the center position. He had Brian Johnson in his ear, and he had Nick Sirianni on the sideline all telling him, this is how we're going to do it. Don't ad-lib. And Jalen Hurts admitted that maybe he doesn't want to ad-lib, but he wants more of a say in the pre-snap adjustments in-game.
I think it's clear that it's a new road for the both of us. It's been a road that I've been waiting on. I know we've had a well-respected guy, a Hall of Fame guy that's been doing that now, and now we're forced the opportunity to do that. Something I've been wanting, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. So you got to be able to communicate. You got to be on the same page, and ultimately have a good, strong, foundational base where everything has good responses to whatever comes.
That might be one of my favorite things he said, because first of all, Jalen admits, look, I had Jason Kelsey. Who am I to tell Jason Kelsey he's wrong? The guy's a future Hall of Famer. This guy has been calling plays at the line before I ever got here. So he understood the position he was walking into. But because Jalen is standing up and Kelsey is squatted over on the line, there are things that Jalen can see that Jason Kelsey couldn't. And so now you have a situation where your quarterback is saying, I want the opportunity to make these calls. I want to grow in this offense. You've heard the Eagles talk about how Jalen Hurts taking ownership of the offense, right? Well, this is part of that ownership. It's saying, I'm going to be allowed to make these line calls and these adjustments. And listen, he's not making line calls and adjustments on the same level as Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or anybody like that, okay? This is nothing like that. There is no reality where even Jalen will say, yeah, I'm on that level with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and those guys changing the entire play at the line of scrimmage. But I think that he says, look, I can do what some of these other quarterbacks do. There's no reason in Jalen Hurts' mind that he thinks that Lamar Jackson, Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, that these guys are so much better than him that they can make adjustments at the line, and he was not allowed to last year. Now, you can also flip the criticism to Jalen and say, look, even those guys don't have full autonomy. Not even Patrick Mahomes always has full autonomy. He's earned some of that autonomy, but even a guy like Patrick Mahomes, him and Andy Reid have argued each other on the sideline. Andy's been like, yo, I call the play, you execute it, and Mahomes will get mad, or Kelsey will get mad at Andy Reid. But like I said, unless you're Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, or even Drew Brees, and maybe a Patrick Mahomes, most of these other guys, they're being told what to do, and they don't have 100% autonomy. So I don't think Jalen Hurts is looking for that either. I think Jalen realizes that, look, I just want to be allowed to run the offense. And he says, I see Dak Prescott, I see Lamar Jackson, I see Kyler Murray, I see Justin Herbert. I see these other quarterbacks, and I say, take the chains off of me. Let me ride. Let me go. Take the training wheels off. I'm ready for this. I want to train for this. And I give him credit for admitting that, because a lot of times players would be very hesitant to admit something like that. We'll dig deeper into Jalen Hurts and the Eagles coming up next with Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And it just keeps getting better.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Raid wants to know, what would you do if you could confidently face every day knowing you and your loved ones are protected? Would you sing along to your favorite song at the top of your lungs? Turn off the GPS and let your heart do the guiding. Go to the drive-thru and order one of everything. Feel the buzz of confidence of knowing you are protected with 65 years of insect science in your hands. Raid. Protection for everyone.
Forget the boat trip. Cancel the cookout. It's the Matt Blatt Nissan July Blowout. Get a cooking hot deal. New Nissan Sentra SB, just $159 per month lease. Or Kicks S, just $199 per month lease. And zero security deposit.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
New Nissan Rogue, 0 down and 0% financing for 36 months. Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trade Man can get you released. So bring it to Matt Blatt Nissan and drive home a new Kicks S, just $199 per month. Or Sentra SB, only $159 per month lease. Both with zero security deposits, $29.99 due. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Plus tax tag and $589 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. VIN RL544560 and RY282964. Central lease selling price $23,694. Kick selling price $22,944. Offer ends 8/6/2024.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
This year, Dell Technologies' Back to School event is delivering impressive tech with an inspiring purpose. Learn how Dell is helping Computer Aid, whose work is helping solar community hubs with tech and AI literacy skills to empower remote, displaced, or disconnected communities around the world. Help Dell make a difference and shop AI-ready PCs powered by Snapdragon X Series processors at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Everyone on the road is trying to make it to their destination safely. You can help by staying aware of the large trucks and buses around you. They take longer to stop, have large blind spots, and make wide turns that require caution from other drivers. It takes all of us working together to share the road safely. Learn more at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov. Paid for by FMCSA.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe and then it spread. and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around. You could be right. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Nick Foles calls it a career. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. The Super Bowl 52 MVP announced his retirement earlier today and will officially retire an Eagle during the Eagles' home opener against the Falcons on Monday, September 16th. With that being said, our 97.3 ESPN question of the day is, other than the Phillies special, what is your favorite Nick Foles moment during his time in Philadelphia? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. I think for me, it would have to be the NFC Championship game when he threw up the flea flicker to Torrey Smith for a touchdown. That moment will resonate for me for the rest of my life. No doubt that game was special, and that play was special. Congrats to Nick Foles on a big career. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Better days, healthier living. There are many reasons to start recovery. If you know someone who is suffering from addiction, we are always here to help. Make the call at 844-REACH-NJ.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Debbie will make its closest pass to New Jersey late tomorrow. Probably as a tropical depression, we'll be watching for 1, maybe 2+ inches of rain, wind gust up to 40 miles an hour. Maybe an isolated tornado. Surf is rough, but the coastal flooding threat is minimal. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight and through much of tomorrow. That last burst of heavy rain and wind tomorrow evening. High temperature 85. Sun comes out this weekend. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card good for use at Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant in Wildwood for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com. You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
You know, I appreciate what you guys do and everything you guys bring the attention and sometimes the understanding. I think sometimes people are only able to know what they understand. Sometimes people don't know what they don't know. But in that regard, we're in reality right now. We have different people doing different things, and we have different responsibilities in their natural nature.
That was Jalen Hurts speaking to the media. He at least admitted he appreciates them. He wasn't indignant about it. Remember back in the day when Chip Kelly was just a plain bleep to the media? I don't think anybody misses those days. Jalen is an interesting character. He did admit some things yesterday when speaking to the media. One of those media members who was there was Chris Franklin, Eagles writer for NJ Advanced Media, joining me right here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Chris, welcome back in. How you doing today?
Not bad. I just felt like Chip Kelly just to get an honor of him. I just get a salute right next to him, make sure nobody likes me, and go from there.
With all that being said, I said before you came on, Chris, that I do give Jalen credit for, not, completely shying away, not going full spin cycle like Nick Sirianni does at times. He admitted to some things yesterday, and I do give him credit for that.
Yeah, he's been more open a lot this year as compared to past ones, and we know that he's been open. Like he's been more open with his teammates as opposed to the media in a lot of places. But he's more open in the way that I commend him for the way he handled it, because not only he did it on his birthday, which I know it had nothing to do with when the thing was published, but to be able to handle all that stuff and on his birthday, no matter less, and the way that he and Nick are publicly even trying to show that everything's good when it came to the down golf cart and riding around and hanging and just talking on the field and stuff like that. I think I commend for the way he's handled, because that could be handled in a much different situation. And we've seen that happen in other teams and organizations.
You just mentioned how it could be handled differently, and it just made me think, I've always wondered what is really the genesis of this Sirianni and Hurts hate each other thing. Like, I feel like it's got to be fabricated, because, Chris, I got to be honest, if Gill and Hurts really had a problem with Nick Sirianni, am I supposed to believe that Nick Sirianni would be the head coach?
I don't think he would have signed that extension for sure.
Right.
I was thinking that they wouldn't have done that. But I also think they're diametrically two different people. And I think when people say, like, okay, same person as you're just like that other person, people say, oh, it's problems. Like, we know that Nick wears his emotions on his sleeve sometimes, and he really is out when something happens. He'll immediately. Jalen's more reserved. He'll the stoic part. It's almost like the Eagles version of the Odd Couple. Like, I kind of would love to see a series with those two being a single part, but it's one of those things. But I think it's one of those things. I don't think losing brings upon a lot of stuff. Losing brings out a lot of stuff that's hidden or masked over or smoothed over. It brings it out. The thing that's going to happen is you just want to make sure it doesn't happen again, to the point where you're dealing with this all over again, and you're trying to make another playoff run with this roster, something that could be much more deeper than just a wild card game.
You said not let it happen again. How much then, in your mind, because I wasn't saying this to besmirch Tim McManus's report, but I felt a lot of the stuff that in his story had been reported by a lot of your brethren over the last several months in some form or another. So who cover the Eagles day in and day out. So it's like, how much then of last year was really Jalen Hurts, and how much of it was Jalen Hurts out of his control?
I think that whole collapse and everything else it involved everybody in that offense. It is for the decision making. When it came to Nick Sirianni, his input into stuff, when it came to, say, Brian Johnson and some of the stuff, when it came to all the way down to Jalen himself, and for my brother, he did play hero ball when he came to that Seattle game, trying to throw it up to AJ, and it was something, and AJ admitted that Nick covered for them on that play. Everybody, in fact, was involved. When you look at this, I think we look at the story. I think the biggest takeaways I had, sort of stuff like top beforehand, but I think they did a good job detailing stuff and learning some more new stuff. Like the fact that Jalen decided to go not to go with Matt Patricia as far as last year. He had to seek outside counsel with Martindale to see what they were doing in order, because they didn't have any answers. I think, to me, that between that and the third party thing that was reported, those are two things like, okay, you see that happen, and it's like, all right, that was really eye opening. So when I look at it this year, it's still early on. We're still looking at training camp. Everything is great. I just want to see when they first had the first patch of not succeeding, how these two play, and if they learn it, because if it's the same repeat thing that happens again, that you really truly do have a major issue that has to be addressed.
Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN at C Franklin News on Twitter X. Something else that Jalen Hurts said yesterday I thought was interesting to you guys, Chris, was that he talked about how, hey, I've been communicating a lot with Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier. And then he went back to the whole, I trust Jeffrey Lurie. I trust Howie Roseman. I trust Nick Sirianni's leadership. It sounds to me very much, Chris, I think part of the thing with Jalen Hurts is he's taking a very literal approach to the chain of command. He almost looks like a military term. It's like, hey, Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier, they're like my immediate supervisors, my immediate commanding officers. And like Nick Sirianni and Howie, they're higher up the chain, and I don't deal with them as much. And I know for football fans, that might be an eye roll thing, but is that possibly just the way Jalen Hurts handles stuff?
Yeah, and that's why a lot of times you see the way it should happen. You want to talk to your immediate person the most and try to tinker around with it because they're getting their what the vision safety offensively with the way Kellen Moore has it. He worked with Nussmeier for so long, goes to quarterback coach. And then you have Gill. So you want to see him working that way and trying to get those issues or whatever the ideas they have go through that instead of skipping directly go from over Nussmeier over more to the Sirianni and vice versa. You don't want that because it starts to instill, and you start to get doubts. If they hear, it's like, okay, what's going on? Why can't you communicate that with me? Just so this or something like that for you. Football teams in a way are really like a military. It should be that way too. So I have no problem with him going up and down that, but in respecting that quote unquote chain of command in order to be able to do that. Because if not, you're just creating some issues, some even more issues that could be underlying and create more problems.
Big picture with the offense, Chris, because you mentioned about how Jalen Hurts, he is coming into a new situation. This is a new environment. Jalen Hurts called it a journey this entire offseason. We know that Kellen Moore runs a very different offense than the Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson, I don't know, Voltron, Transformer, Power Ranger, Zord, amalgamation, whatever you want to call it. But the Kellen Moore is not any of those things. He is his own person. He is his own system. What is the biggest benefit do you think is going to come out of Kellen Moore being now in charge of the Eagles offense?
I think that is the fact that he pretty much has an answer for everything, and that offense continues to build upon little wrinkles that you see there. It's details. So at first, it will look like something. When you just see a formation, when you first look at it, feel like, okay, that looks good. But it's the same stuff they've been doing, or the same version of play they've been doing beforehand. It's just they're running a little bit more motion with it. They're lining up guys in different spots as well, too. I mean, I remember seeing one play, I believe it was Tuesday. It's Tuesday or Wednesday. I forget which practice it was. It was Tuesday. I'm sorry, excuse me. They ran a variation of a play, and they utilized the run game, and it sucked the linebackers in secondary up because they had to believe the run was coming. And all of a sudden, you see Devontae Smith wide open along the sideline because of the little wrinkle that he put in. And I think that's what the strength of Kellen Moore is, knowing where the matchups are going to be, knowing how to exploit them, getting your best players in a position to be able to do that. And, you got to become creative in terms of doing that as well, too. So you look at all the stuff he could bring this office. You should feel pretty comfortable knowing that he comes in here with that pedigree and a willingness to do so.
Who do you think is actually going to be the starting right guard this year? Because I'm not convinced Tyler Steen is going to be it. I'm getting a lot of 2017 vibes, Chris. I'm getting that there was like 5 different guys at left guard, right? Chance Warmack and Isaac Seumalo and Stefan Wisniewski. And it was like the guy you least expected was starting in the Super Bowl next to Vaitai of all people. So it was like, I get those kind of vibes right now, Chris. I look at right guard and I'm like, I don't even know if the guy who's going to start there is who we think is going to start there.
Yeah, it's crazy in terms of the fact that when I still think they're going to give Steen a chance to shoot, but Becton is sure making it tough to be a geek to do it. I think they would love Steen, especially use the 3rd round pick on him. You wanted to see him do that. They thought that. And the fact that ankle injury, I think, kind of messed him up in his competition because he missed a few practices, which allowed Becton to step in there. Becton's just a mean guy. You like that offensive line. I remember it was they were doing the drills as the offensive line individual drills, and Dylan McMahon, the rookie, he's not a defensive lineman. And I set that up because he's not used to that. He's playing the role. So he and Lane Johnson are doing his tandem block, but Johnson passes off to Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton just uses one arm, pushes him down to the ground like it's like something down there, and it stood over for like a quick 3 second. You want to see your offensive lineman have that nasty streak, and the guy with his athleticism, his size, it feels really good. The question you want to see is he's doing that nice in practice. What's going to happen when you see these stunts, these elaborate stunts are going to run week 1 when the Packers come in, or when the Eagles play the Saints in week 3 with that defense, Dennis Allen leading that. Well, I have to say right now, I give I give Steve. I think Becton's up 55-45. If it was 100%, I think he's up 55-45. But they're still want to give Steen still a lot of time here, and they're still want to give Steen as many chances as they can to win back that spot.
You mentioned a lot of time. Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media joining us, talk about the Eagles at training camp, preparing for their first preseason game tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN. Eagles home here in South Jersey. Chris, what we know Howie Roseman loves to tinker. If you had the point, which side of the ball do you think Howie pulls a move on before the start of the season? Offense or defense?
Ooh. I probably would have, heading into it, I would have said they would have gone offense. I think they go, if anything, it might be defense. And the position, even then, it'll be like an off-the-ball linebacker. That'd probably be it. But even then, it's crazy because offensively, you would have thought we look at the third receiver. I know Paris Campbell's dealing with the groin injury, but the way that Johnny Wilson in there, Britton Covey's looked decent and in the slides well too. And you got to show John Ross. I would have thought that was, but they're playing well at that spot. So and the third receiver in this offense is, good luck. We saw Quez Watkins with the leader third receiver at 15 catches. So you saw what happens in that last year. And then you look over on the other side, it's like there's not that many impact edge rushers you can trade for, so you can't do that. But the linebacker so much. I mean, Kobe Dean's fighting with Zach Bond as well too, and Bond's been playing really well. I got to commend with that. Bond's playing well at that linebacker spot. Devin White's playing good. They had Jeremiah Trotter, which on the depth chart he's part of 4, but it's really I think it's a 3-man race for that. If they can get their hands on another impactful off the ball linebacker who can play special teams and is not going to be that expensive, which it's like living in a dream world trying to find that perfect guy and add him to the roster. Yeah, I can see that one there. Safety, I'm not so sure they're still going to get Justin Simmons or what have you because they've been trying that. Bradbury, I think, has been solid as that safety. And, you got that cap hit when it comes to that, so you're still dealing with that. So, yeah, I think if anything, I think it's a long shot. But I think the defensive, if you were to make a significant move, maybe some on the defensive side of the ball to help Vic out.
Speaking of defense, that tandem, that trio at linebacker, Nakobe Dean, Devin White, Zach Bond. I know Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is technically part of that group, but it really seems like to me that the Eagles are kind of waiting for one of those guys to separate. Is that a fair description?
I'm sorry, I broke down a little bit. Can you say that again? I'm sorry, I kind of broke my phone broke up.
I was saying that between Dean, White, and Bond, I feel like the Eagles are kind of waiting for one of those guys to kind of step out and, maybe take a little more hold of, I want this, I deserve this spot. Is that a fair description?
Yeah, that thing. Sorry, yeah, I think Debbie was playing that new Storm's probably playing when I felt reception there. But yeah, I think if anything, and if I had to put it in there, I think White solidified himself at least one of the spots. I truly do because I look at he's a veteran know-how, the way he's playing in coverage. I think he's got one of the spots. I think they really want to see Dean really step up and take a stranglehold. But the way that Bond's been playing, and both guys, I mean, we see Vic use them in blitz situations. We see them use them off the edge and drop them back. So in all three of those things, Bond has shown the most consistency in doing that. I think they prefer to see Dean step up and do that so they can use Bond more as an edge rusher and help out with that rotation there. But with the way you're seeing it, it's tough to – right now, it's tough to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should bench Bond and put Dean in there. And this is why I hope that they play the starters even for a series tomorrow, just so you can get a good feel, especially because I think the Ravens will be a good test. If they play their starters, that'll be a good test, especially how physical they are in the run game. And I want to see a lot of these guys tackle because, it's tough. That position that we've seen is not been this stable since T.D. Edwards left. It really hasn't because, the injuries and guys coming in and out for a year and going. So I think Bond has the edge, and I really want to see what he does as a starter. And I think Dean needs to prove that he needs to earn a consistent playing time on field.
Chris, before I let you go, as of August 8th, you have every right to change your mind in the next 2 days, 2 weeks, doesn't matter. Who is going to be the starting outside corner across from Darius Slay? Because it has been a point of contention for us here on 97.3 ESPN. Because I'm sitting here saying, look, I'm looking at who's out there, but then you hear some of the reports out there, right? I feel like it's like there's like they maybe want Quinyon Mitchell to be the guy, but Isaiah Rodgers won't let go of the opportunity. Keely Ringo is hanging around in there. So if you were to project as of August 8th, the guy starting across from Slay on the outside is who and why?
I'd put Isaiah Rodgers out there next to him because I like the way with the speed guys that you have there. We all know the outside speed of these receivers, but the thing I like the most about him is he's ready to gamble and anticipate the routes. And it's been smart gambles when he tries to jump them. That's the thing I like in terms of that, because you can just try to guess a route, next thing you know you're burnt and you're like, oh great, here we go again. But I like the way he does it, and we know how difficult it was last year for his defense to create turnovers. So I like him in that spot. I have no problem with that. Keely Ringo is and Keely Ringo's played well as himself too. He's been very physical. I like to see that they're trying to disrupt them, reroute them off when they're running the routes. The thing is going to be is like, I just worry about he's done better than he did last year. I'll preface it that way, but just worry about him getting called for a little contact, a little too much, or what have you, with these ticky-tack calls that refs are going to start calling against them if they start to see that. So he's still he still can cover well, but I think right now, given the two, it's Isaiah Rodgers, who I think he works well on one side opposite Slay. And then who knows, maybe we start to see in the second half of the season if Quinyon Mitchell continues to play as well as he's a stunner in the slot and as a nickel or a dime. Maybe he eventually earns to roll that with you. I still think Isaiah Rodgers has played that strong of the game.
He's Chris Franklin. Follow him on the Twitter X platform at C Franklin News. Make sure you subscribe and download the No Huddle Show, the podcast talking about the Birds. And of course, he joined us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Chris, stay dry, safe travels to Baltimore, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Josh Hennig here filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get more into the Eagles coming up in the next hour. For football and forward, Andrew DiCecco from the Inside the Birds podcast. And don't forget Knicks Nuggets as well, coming up at 4:30 today here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
We have the Phillies covered.
Browns to Turner at short, who throws across his body to Harper at first, and another 1-2-3 inning for Zach Wheeler.
Get the best Phillies baseball coverage on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Because nobody likes having to choose. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
Jane, I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
Or being a dog person and a cat person.
Who wants a treat? Who's a good boy?
Or like being an extrovert and an introvert.
Woo! This is so fun! I can't wait to go home.
At T-Mobile, you don't have to choose. You can get the benefits you want and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how much you can save with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, when you switch, you can keep your phone and we'll pay it off up to $800.
Via virtual prepaid card in 15 days. Qualifying unlocked device, credit service, and timely redemption required. Card has no cash access and expires in 6 months. See T-Mobile.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Life hack number 7. Get an iPhone 12 on Straight Talk. Life hack. Here's how it works. You walk into Walmart, go to the electronics section, ask for iPhone 12 with 5G and a dual camera system, and select the new Silver Unlimited plan. They'll smile because it's a good plan. You get real unlimited data, all for just $20 a month for the whole first year. Get it at Walmart or StraightTalk.com. Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Taxes and fees apply. Requires activation of iPhone 12 and a new Silver Unlimited plan or higher-end auto-pay enrollment. $25 a month service credit applied for up to 12 months if eligibility requirements are met. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com.
Taco Bell's new cheesy street chalupas have a lot going for them. For one, they come in pairs, both with your choice of shredded chicken or grilled marinated steak. Then there's the cheesy chalupa shells and creamy jalapeno ranch sauce. Can't count those out either. But the star of the show is their authentic street style, topped with onions and cilantro, and perfectly sized for eating one-handed. You know, while you're walking around the street, or your living room, wherever. Grab some cheesy street chalupas at a participating Taco Bell today.
For a limited time only while supplies last.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Do you guys remember an hour ago when I told you that this is the Avengers versus Thanos in the Olympics? Halftime. Serbia leads 54-43. Nikola Jokic has 9 points and 7 assists. He's not even the biggest threat. It's Bogdan Bogdanovic who has 3 three-pointers, and the USA is struggling to score. They need to call in Captain Marvel or something, because Iron Man ain't getting the job done right now, folks. You know, Steph Curry has 20 points in this game. It's not enough. He has 20 of their 43 points. Team USA need to wake up, man. Coming out of halftime. They're losing. Football at 4 next. Andrew DiCecco here on 97.3 ESPN.
Westwood One Sports presents this special update on the 2024 Summer Games, sponsored by Realtors. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. A shocker on the track at Stade de France. 21-year-old Letsile Tobogo from Botswana pulls away for gold in the men's 200 meters. The favorite, Noah Lyles, took the bronze behind his American teammate Kenny Bednarik, who won silver. Lyles dropped to the track in exhaustion after the race, and his mom, Keisha Kane Bishop, told NBC Lyles tested positive for COVID 2 days ago. Lyles was trying to become the first American man to pull off the sprint double gold in the 100 and 200 since Carl Lewis did it 40 years ago. The United States reign in women's water polo is over. Australia edging the U.S. in a shootout in the semifinals. Team USA was going for a record-breaking 4th straight gold medal. With this Summer Games update, I'm Ted Emmerich, Westwood One Sports.
Is this house a good price compared to others in the area? Are prices going up or down? If I don't make an offer right this very moment, will I miss my chance? These are just some of the questions a home buyer might ask. And these are the sorts of questions an agent who is a realtor can help answer. Because realtors have the expertise, data, and access to specialty training to help you navigate the process of buying a home. They provide support, guidance, and have your back every step of the way. That's what realtors do, because that's who we are. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Yeah, my daughter needs a laptop for college, but I need to watch the budget.
Well, Staples hot deals on tech are backed by a price match guarantee, so our prices won't be beat.
Great. I can't believe my baby's starting college.
She'll do great.
I know.
Oh, let's get you a great deal on a laptop.
Save big on tech for school at Staples. Now get up to $300 off select PCs. And save 24 price match guarantee valid within 14 days of purchase. Exclusions apply. For details, visit staples.com/price match.
Beat the heat this month at Matt Blatt Kia. During our sale, Abrasion. Take $7,500 off MSRP or pay 0% for 48 months and make no payments for 90 days on every clearly marked EV in stock. Plus, with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy, you can drive with peace of mind. Have a job clearing $450 per week? Matt Blatt Kia wants to approve you today. 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0%. So if you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, we want to get you released. It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, 24 Nero EV and EV6, 2083 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. $7,500 customer cash from Kia America for the purchase or lease of a specially tagged 2024 vehicle. Bonus cash must be applied for the purchase or lease and not available for cash. Subject to vehicle availability and dealer participation. EV6 rebates and incentives to dealer.
Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
This is the famous footwear that makes us actually want to go back to school. With the newest styles from all your favorite brands like Nike, Adidas, Crocs, Converse, New Balance, Birkenstock, and more. You'll find everything kids want, all at prices parents can appreciate. Because you don't have to overspend to make it famous. Famous Footwear even has fit experts in store to make sure you get the right size every time. So for the perfect fit, make it famous. Plus, right now, buy one, get one half off when you shop your local Famous Footwear or famous.com. Some exclusions apply.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Andrew DiCecco, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
We're never satisfied. That hunger for more. I have it. Everyone has it.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. The latest edition dropped this morning with Jeff Mosher and Adam Kaplan. But right now, joining us, as he does each and every Thursday, it's Andrew DiCecco. Check out all of his coverage of the Eagles at InsideTheBirds.com, at Andrew DiCecco on the Twitter X platform. As we are counting down, I believe it's 26, 27 hours until the Eagles are scheduled to kick off the first preseason game of the year tomorrow night against the Baltimore Ravens. You hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN, your home for Eagles football in South Jersey. Andrew, welcome in. How you doing today?
Josh, I'm doing great. Good to be with you. Yeah, I am one of those weirdos that I actually enjoy the preseason for the evaluation standpoint to see how my assessment is throughout training camp. Some of these guys I've looked at in college, and I kind of want to see, how if my eyes still have it.
If your eyes still have it. Well, let me ask you about your eyes, okay? Because one of the questions that a lot of people are having coming in to this game, a lot of those eyes are on the defense. So talk to me first about the linebackers, because I have been curious about how they're handling linebackers. I know you can't read too much into the depth charts that are put out there by the PR team, but when you look at it, it seems to me that this is a trio going on, right? It's White, Bond, and Dean. So what has been your takeaways from those three? And then what are you looking for from those three moving forward?
Great question. So Zach Bond has been the most consistent, but he's not someone that is going to make a ton of plays, or he's just somebody who always does the right thing. He's always in the right spot. And I think that really speaks to his football acumen. And that's a big reason why, Josh, he's been the number one linebacker, or starting alongside Devin White with the first team throughout the 10 training camp practices that I've been there for. Devin White is the most talented. He is the X factor. In many ways, a key to the defense reaching its expectations this year. But I think when you see Devin White, you see an immensely athletic second-level player who can roam sideline to sideline. He's good as a blitzer, and there's a lot of trust there in him. And I think some of that is by default because Devin White is their best linebacker, but that's the Eagles' linebacking situation is middling, to be honest with you. But I think Devin White gives you a lot more athleticism, more so than you've ever seen before in an Eagles linebacker, at least in recent years. And I think, at least in open practice, I thought he was a tick slow in coverage. Sometimes he over pursues plays, but by and large, he's going to be the linebacker that's on the field most of the time, given his versatile skill set. And Nakobe Dean is somebody who is, I've noticed, being much more adept at coming downhill and attacking that way and getting after quarterbacks, where he's been able to kind of dismantle blocks in the running backs, particularly Will Shipley. He's had a really tough time handling Nakobe. But in coverage, Josh, is where he's sort of underwhelmed, I would say, particularly against Kenny Gainwell, against some of the tight ends. Grant Calcaterra has had some success working against them. So I want to see what Nakobe can do to prove that he can be a well-rounded linebacker, because if he can, well, I think he would have a chance to push Vaughn for that number 2 spot.
Also on defense, I know you wrote about the defensive line over at InsideTheBirds.com. I want to give it all away so people to actually read it, but I wanted to bring it up to you because of the fact that Vic Fangio clearly said, hey, those edge guys, they're not part of the D line. And we know in the past, Fangio has run some of those, 3-man D line fronts and then had the overhangs on the outside. So talk to me about those interior defensive linemen, because we know Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, but what about the other guys at that position?
Well, Milton Williams has quietly had a really good camp. He's going to be playing a much more prominent role defensively than he has in the past. And I think he's going to be able to answer the bell. Now, the question that I have is who can they lean on for depth, right? Because there's a lot of questions, especially with Fletcher Cox having retired. There's a lot of uncertainty there already with some of the starters, let alone the depth. And right now, the top player and my standout this summer has been Moro Ojomo, the second-year defensive tackle from Texas. Really violent hands, exploding off the line, and I think he plays with good leverage, and he's been in the backfield an awful lot, and really showing me that he's ready to take that leap in his second season. I'm not suggesting he's going to be eating into Milton Williams snaps or anything like that, but I think he's going to have a much bigger role, and he really has to. And then the other player is Marlon Tuipulotu, who is a solid, if unspectacular, type of player. He's more of a space eater and someone who kind of occupies blocks for other guys to make plays. But he's someone who struggled with injuries in the past couple seasons, so you have to be able to rely on those players. And I think right now you can only rely on Moro Ojomo as far as your defensive tackle depth.
Talk with Andrew DiCecco from InsideTheBirds.com and the Inside the Birds podcast. Staying on defense, one of the contested topics we've been having on here on 97.3 ESPN, Andrew, is cornerback. Look, we know the one side, Darius Slay. Okay, fine. But the other side, Isaiah Rodgers, Keely Ringo. They drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. As of August 8th, what is the Andrew DiCecco breakdown on the outside corner across from Slay?
I would say it's going to be Isaiah Rodgers, at least right now. Isaiah Rodgers has gotten 7 practices of the 10 opening with the first team defense opposite Darius Slay. Say what you will, but I mean, you make of it what you will, but Quinyon Mitchell has been the nickel, and he's really come on of late, looking pretty natural in that position. Obviously, you don't draft a player in the first round to be a nickel corner, but when you look at it, if you're the Eagles, how can I get my first round pick on the field while maximizing, the potential of the defense, the athleticism? Well, I think that would be putting Quinyon at nickel and allowing someone like an Isaiah Rodgers, who doesn't really play inside, Keely Ringo certainly doesn't play inside, to get on the field. You optimize your versatility. But what I will say about Rodgers, and it's something to be mindful of, for the listeners, he's a smaller guy. He's 5'10", 175. And one thing I've noticed throughout camp is sometimes he will struggle against bigger bodied wideouts. So A.J. Brown's going to get the best of everybody. He's one of the one of the elite players at the position. But even someone like a Joseph Ngata has gotten him on a couple, one-on-one plays, and you really see some of these guys be able to outmuscle him. But then there's other plays in general where you see his quickness, his short area quickness, and his ability to break on the football, his recovery speed, and you see why they have him as the starter, because he has all those explosive elements. So I just would be mindful of the size.
Sticking in the secondary, to me, the defense is one of the biggest questions coming into this Eagles season. We know Bradbury's been getting reps at safety, but Fangio also said that it's been very rare for guys to make that transition and be successful from corner to safety. So what has Andrew DiCecco's eyes told him about Bradbury so far?
Well, as I expected, his length and his football instincts. He's a very sharp-minded player. I've mentioned that to you before. He sees things quickly, and I think moving him back to the safety position allows him to see the full scope of the defense and make plays on the football. So his length has really affected throws. It's narrowed throwing windows. He's been effective against tight ends. The question that I have, and you're really not able to gauge until you see him in the preseason because they're always doing thud drills in practice, is how is James Bradbury going to be able to acquit himself as an open field tackler? I think to be a third safety, which is what he would have to be, you have to also be able to play on special teams. That's not something he's done really in many years. So I don't know that the physical nature of that position really lends itself to Bradbury having a smooth transition of that position. But then again, you never know. That they could bring him in in a specialty type of role in confined spaces, going against tight ends and things like that to find value in him if he does make the team. But I think that I think he's done pretty well so far.
Talk with Andrew DiCecco as we are about 27 hours away from the Eagles' first preseason game tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN, home for Eagles football in South Jersey. Offensive side of the ball. Andrew, talk to me about right guard. Listen, I understand Hurts and Sirianni have been the hot topics in the media out there, but I want to know who's blocking for Jalen Hurts, Andrew. I want to know, is it Steen? Is it Becton? Or is there someone else who could slip in and maybe steal that job?
Well, Josh, I maintain, and I said this for a couple of months now, I maintain that it's going to be Mekhi Becton. Not that, I mean, Steen losing that critical time where they were sort of neck and neck certainly didn't help him. The Eagles would love nothing more than for Tyler Steen to run away with that position, and he still may. I want to put that out there. He still may. There's time. But Becton has made it awfully tough, and I think he's sort of widened the gap ever so slightly because his transition has been relatively seamless. He doesn't have the prototypical size for guard, but I think his natural athleticism and power, and he's learning to play with leverage at that position, which isn't easy being 6'7". But you see the explosive traits, the power, certain elements that Steen doesn't really have, or at least has not exhibited to this point. And it's awfully enticing to pair Lane Johnson and Mekhi Becton on one side and Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata on another to give the Eagles a wall up front for Jalen Hurts. Steen's going to have an opportunity, but I think Becton has shown enough right now to give him the inside track. And yesterday, for what it's worth, he still got first team. He still ran with the first team at right guard, despite Steen being fully cleared and participating with, he was with the second team.
Any thought to the right guard position? You think the idea that, remember back in the day, they brought in Brandon Brooks as kind of like protection for Jason Kelce because he was a little undersized. Is there an idea that maybe because Juergens is a young center, he's still learning the position, that maybe you want the biggest, most bad athletes out there to kind of maybe be the bodyguards on each side of him?
Perhaps that's one school of thought. I never really viewed it that way. I think the plan was always for Cam Juergens to be the center. My understanding is he's incredibly knowledgeable, and he's not only helped Tyler Steen, who mentioned that when he spoke, but he's also helped everybody across the offensive line. He's taken on a leadership role early in training camp when there was a couple false starts. That day, it was Jordan Mailata and Cam Juergens that opted that the linemen run gassers and things like that. So I think he's ready to take on a bigger role. He's super athletic. He's good at getting in space. I just, you wonder with, he's had some recent injuries. He's gotten dinged up the past couple of years. That's a tough position to play. There's a lot of wear and tear there. That would be the only concern that I would have, not performance-based. I think he's going to be just fine.
Gotcha. Andrew, also on the offensive side of the ball, I want to know from you, because I know that Kellen Moore used the tight end a lot during his years in Dallas and his 1 year in Los Angeles with the Chargers. I'm going to call them San Diego. Los Angeles with the Chargers. So is that something to keep an eye on? Because I know we keep talking about who's going to be the slot receiver, but is there a possibility that the slot receiver may indirectly be the number 2 tight end in this offense?
There's a chance, and Nick Sirianni, alluded to as much. If you can think back to the spring, when the first player he named, when asked about the third wide receiver role, was Grant Calcaterra. Now, Grant Calcaterra, it's safe now to believe what you're seeing and what you're reading, because for me, with training camp, you have to always take a step back. It's never as good as you think. It's never as bad as you think. You have to figure out what's fact and what's fiction. But right now, Grant Calcaterra is the real deal. He's carried over what was a very impressive spring into the summer. He looks explosive as a route runner, detailed. He works the seam really well. He's got the confidence of all the quarterbacks. He's always where he needs to be. So it seems like maybe the light has come on in his third season. And knowing Kellen Moore and his affinity for utilizing the tight ends, I have to think that Calcaterra, who is the tight end too, by the way, he admitted as much a couple of weeks ago, I think he's going to have a role. And you could see him as a result, as a byproduct of using maybe a big slot or a big receiver in that role. He could, in certain circumstances, act as that third receiver role. It doesn't have to necessarily be in the traditional sense. You could also see Saquon Barkley or Kenny Gainwell occupy that in certain instances. But I would also say Johnny Wilson's going to be involved. And the further we get here, if you're not pleased with what you're seeing, if some of these guys cause some trepidation or you don't think that they're ready to step in, you may have to look outside the organization to add somebody to fortify that. But my counter to that would be, and I said this to Mike last week, how many catches and how many yards are really are we really talking about here in an offense that already has AJ, Devontae, Dallas, Saquon? 35 catches, 40 catches maybe, 35 is probably more realistic, and 300 plus. I think if healthy, Paris Campbell can do that for you. I think there's no reason why someone like a Johnny Wilson can't do that for you. You don't need to be an all-world player, so I don't know that a trade would make the most sense.
All right, Andrew, the final division we haven't talked about is the NFC East in your divisional previews here on Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. Let's do a quick hit on the other 3 NFC East teams. First of all, let's start with the team that was on Hard Knocks this offseason. I know they got Malik Neighbors, but is Daniel Jones going to be able to do the job without Saquon Barkley, or do you anticipate the Giants to have a rough season offensively?
I think they will have a rough season offensively. Devin Singletary is a pretty significant downgrade from Saquon, though I like they have a decent core of receivers led by Malik Neighbors. They also have Jalen Hyatt, who's there. Wan'Dale Robinson is another player who they drafted a couple of years ago. So they have young players there. I just don't think they have a quarterback consistent enough to utilize and maximize what they're able to do.
Dallas Cowboys lost 2 starters on the offensive line, lost Tony Pollard. They lost a defensive coordinator, but they still got Prescott. What are your thoughts on the Cowboys as Mike McCarthy is a lame duck coach this year?
Well, they're kind of a mess right now, to be honest. I mean, when you have so many different storylines that aren't overly positive at this point, before you've even played a meaningful game, I mean, I think that kind of encompasses the dysfunction that you normally see out of Dallas. I'm not used to seeing it this early, but I mean, your running back, you had to go back to Ezekiel Elliott. Dak Prescott's there. I mean, they added Tyler Guyton, the tackle in the draft, who I really like, but then you have the whole CeeDee Lamb situation. Is that something that's going to carry over or is that going to loom large throughout the season? How long is that going to last? Will that strain the relationship between their star receiver and the franchise? We'll have to see, but right now the optics don't look really good for the Dallas Cowboys.
Finally, down in Washington, new head coach, new quarterback. Is that enough to turn Washington around, or is year one going to be some growing pains?
I think they're going to be a team that's going to surprise some people. Now, I'm not suggesting they're going to be a playoff team, Josh, but I think you're going to see Jaden Daniels make notable strides throughout the year. I like Terry McLaurin a lot and Jahan Dotson, the two wide receivers. And I just have this feeling that you're going to see they slowly started to draft better. They're piecing it together. So I think maybe next year you're going to see them really be able to make a push. I just don't think it'll be this year.
Give him a follow on the Twitter X platform at Andrew DiCecco. Check out all of his coverage of Eagles training camp over at InsideTheBirds.com. And, of course, don't forget, tomorrow night, game one of the NFL preseason for the Philadelphia Eagles in Baltimore against the Ravens. They're playing the Baltimore twice this year, Andrew. So this also maybe a little preview for you as well to see when they see the Ravens down the road, right?
Well, you're not really going to see anything. It's going to be overly vanilla. And I don't even know which starters you're going to see. So there's not a whole lot to assess. I'll be keeping my eye on a lot of the reserve players that I've seen throughout training camp and see how they hold up in a game situation.
I got you. I was trying to put a little extra spin on it, but I failed, obviously. So, Andrew, appreciate you jumping on. Have a good one, man. Keep up the great work.
You bet. Take care, Josh.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN in the 4 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash, being brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Broadlee's is your trusted source for air conditioning and plumbing services and installation for generations. Listen, with all the crazy storms coming through, all that water is going to get into your air system. It's going to get into maybe the plumbing underneath your house. You're going to call 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadlease.net. You may want to get some maintenance looked at in and around your home, whether it's your air system or your plumbing. We got rain all week long, all the way up to Saturday, it looks like. So you want to give Broadlease Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning a call, 609-390-3907, or visit them online at broadlease.net. Coming up still, we got Mike Golic Jr. Of course, he is the co-host of the Gojo and Golic show on the DraftKings Network, coming up at 5:25 tonight. But next, it's time for Nick's Nuggets. We'll see what is on Nick Earnshaw's mind coming up on the other side. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card good for use at Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant in Wildwood for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Seizethedeal.com. eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll will help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code SUPPORT, or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off. roundhouseprovisions.com, code SUPPORT.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
This year, Dell Technologies Back to School event is delivering impressive tech with an inspiring purpose. Learn how Dell is helping Computer Aid, whose work is helping solar community hubs with tech and AI literacy skills to empower remote, displaced, or disconnected communities around the world. Help Dell make a difference and shop AI-ready PCs powered by Snapdragon X Series processors at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code BETTER and get 15% off your first purchase with code BETTER, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME deodorant.com, code BETTER for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME deodorant.com, code BETTER to save 15% today.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trademan can get you released. MattBlattNissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Nick Foles calls it a career. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. The Super Bowl 52 MVP announced his retirement earlier today and will officially retire an Eagle during the Eagles' home opener against the Falcons on Monday, September 16th. With that being said, our 97.3 ESPN question of the day is, other than the Phillies special, what is your favorite Nick Foles moment during his time in Philadelphia? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. I think for me, it would have to be the NFC Championship game when he threw up the flea flicker to Torrey Smith for a touchdown. That moment will resonate for me for the rest of my life. No doubt that game was special, and that play was special. Congrats to Nick Foles on a big career. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Go for the endless ocean views. Go for the nonstop entertainment. Go for the lucky whirls and the late night twirls. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Debbie will make its closest pass to New Jersey late tomorrow. Probably as a tropical depression, we'll be watching for 1, maybe 2+ inches of rain, wind gust up to 40 miles an hour. Maybe an isolated tornado. Surf is rough, but the coastal flooding threat is minimal. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight and through much of tomorrow. That last burst of heavy rain and wind tomorrow evening. High temperature 85. Sun comes out this weekend. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Summers in New Jersey were made to wow you. From sun and wows to fun and wows. Chillin' wows to thrillin' wows. So come see what your wow's gonna be. New Jersey. It's one summer wow after another after another. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey. Little state, lot of wow.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic. You come with me. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here on the Sports Bash, filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. It's time for Nick Nuggets. Nick Earnshaw back here on the Sports Bash. He'll be co-hosting with me tomorrow for the full 4 hours, but he only can carve out 25 minutes for me today. And he's sitting there suffering through. Thanos is still beating the Avengers as 78-67 is the score early in the fourth quarter. Serbia over Team USA. Nick, I told the folks out there earlier, I was like, look, Jokic is Thanos in the Black Order. This is Infinity War. I'm getting some PTSD here watching the Avengers losing to Thanos again. I know it's only a 8-point game, but come on, man.
Yeah, this is brutal. What's going on, Josh? Nice to talk to you today. I can't wait to talk to you for 4 hours tomorrow. That'll be fantastic. But yeah, I'm keeping my eye on this USA game. I'm getting nervous here a little bit. It does remind me of Thanos, the first part of the Avengers, right? It's not Endgame yet, so there's still some time left in this ball game. But Embiid was playing well. He cooked Jokic and went right by him on a dunk. I saw that highlight earlier. So Embiid isn't the issue today. It's the rest of Team USA and some questionable decisions by Steve Kerr.
Yeah, man, I haven't been watching it that intensely because, I'm on the radio here talking about the Eagles, but, it's like, I keep looking over and I just keep seeing weird stuff happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's some weird stuff happening, but, they're getting back into the game. It's only a 5-point game now. Devin Booker hit a big three, so it's 78-73. A little over 7 minutes to go in the fourth. Keep an eye on that one because, it's going to come down to the wire. And it could finish during Nick's Nuggets today. So I might have to have a bonus nugget by the time we get to the end here, Josh.
Well, what do you got for the Nuggets? Give it to me.
Oh, I'd be remiss if I didn't start with a Nick Nugget myself. Nick Foles retires, man. This has got to be the first one. He ends his career with the Eagles. They're going to have a big ceremony during the home opener, September 16th against the Falcons. This is a big news day, right? Having him retire, 35 years old. He's the first quarterback in Eagles history to win a Super Bowl. The magical run of 2017 into 2018. He's an important part of Eagles history. And, I asked the question during the update. I'm like, what's your favorite moment? Everyone could say Philly, but your favorite moment from Nick Foles, there's a lot to choose from. And I had to go with the Torrey Smith flea flicker. That was ridiculous. To call that an NFC championship game during the beatdown of the Vikings, that moment was fantastic. The guts on Nick Foles throughout the playoff run, ridiculous. I've seen this conversation, Josh, on social media making its rounds. Should the Eagles retire number 9? Now, nobody's worn number 9 since he has left the Eagles. And I don't think there's any question. I've seen some people saying, oh, well, they shouldn't retire him. He was just a backup quarterback. It was only a couple of game run. No. When you win the first Super Bowl in Eagles history as a backup quarterback coming in when nobody thought that the Eagles would go that far after Carson Wentz goes down, this guy definitely deserves to have his number retired. I can't see the other side of it when you don't want his number retired. I just can't see that point of view.
See, it's not that I don't want his number retired. It's the fact that
Josh.
It's the fact.
Oh no.
It's the fact that he is not one of the elite players in the franchise history. He's not going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's at least 2 quarterbacks who are historically better in the franchise history than him. Yes, he has the best passer rating in team history, but he only had, 58 touchdowns in his career. That's 58 out of 82 of his career touchdowns. But listen, he is one of the most important players in franchise history. I give you that. I talked about it earlier in the show. But, if you're going to retire his number, well, you got to retire Donovan McNabb's number. You got to retire Ron Jaworski's number.
That's fine. But when you won the Super Bowl, McNabb didn't win the Super Bowl. Jaws didn't win the Super Bowl. Nick Foles won the Super Bowl. It is one of the most improbable stories you have ever seen in sports. But Nick, they were dead in the water.
But Nick, we so easily forget that Nick Foles wasn't the reason why they got to the Super Bowl. People forget that Falcons game was the Eagles defense. That Eagles defense shut down Matt Ryan and the Falcons offense. In that Vikings game, it was Patrick Robinson and company getting interceptions, getting sacks. It was hungry dogs run faster. It was the underdog. Remember that Raiders game, what was it, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? He did not look good in that game. So it was that 2017 year was a roller coaster ride. Nick Foles gets credit because in the biggest game of the year, in the biggest moment, he outdueled the greatest quarterback to ever live, arguably, Tom Brady.
That's it. Oh, no. I'm going to stop you right there. I'm stopping you right there. That's it. He outdueled the greatest quarterback in NFL history in the Super Bowl as a backup and went on the problem. Gave the Eagles a chance to win throughout that playoff. There's no reason his number should not be retired. That guy will be immortal. They already have a statue with him outside of the
So the
stadium.
statue's not enough. You're saying the statue's not enough.
I'm saying it's not enough. Retire his number. No one should wear number 9 again. He was the starting quarterback on an improbable run on an improbable team to win the first Super Bowl in franchise history. That's it. He won. He did it. McNabb didn't do it. Jaworski didn't do it. Nobody's done it. Now one Eagles quarterback has won a Super Bowl. Championship, that's a different argument. But a Super Bowl, he's the only one that's done it. And he played fantastic in that game. And for that reason, I mean, he lives in Eagles lore forever.
I'm not retiring a guy for one game. I can't do it, man.
It's the most important game, Josh.
Can't do it.
It's the most important one. It's the big one. It's the championship. You would have no ring without Nick Foles.
Fine, retire.
Nick Foles was the only guy. No, Nick. Go ahead.
If you're retiring his number, retire Brandon Graham's number.
That's fine. Brandon Graham's an important part of this history too. I'm not saying he was the only guy who did it, but he's a massive, massive part of the puzzle that got them a championship. You have to retire his number. You have to. He was the quarterback. You put any other backup quarterback in that spot, they're not winning. They're not going as far.
That's not true. Now you're hyperbole. See, now you cross the line because you forget about Trent Dilfer. You forget about Jeff Hostetler. You forget about Doug Williams. You forgot about Jim Plunkett. There are other backup quarterbacks who came in and led teams to championships.
I understand, but on that team that year, you couldn't plug just anybody in there. That team believed in Nick Foles, and you saw it almost again the following year. That's the thing. You nearly saw him do it again. If Alshon Jeffrey catches that ball against the Saints, you might see him go back again 2 years in a row. The guy had a magic touch for this team, and I know they lost Carson Wentz, blah, 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 but there's no way, no how you can't retire his number. He's one of the most important Eagles in Eagles history now because he brought them Super Bowl.
All right, so because of this, I got a homework assignment for you tomorrow. Okay.
Here we go.
So here's a listener brought this up earlier. I can't give him credit because they leave their name. Okay, hate when people do that.
Gotta leave your name.
The texter left a message that said that Foles is one of those guys who was born to play in Philadelphia. And he said, Nick Foles, Bryce Harper, Brian Dawkins. So you and I tomorrow are going to come up with our top 10 athletes who were born to play in Philadelphia list. Okay?
Okay. That's fair. I know Ben Simmons will not be on my list. He might be on the complete opposite of that list. So, I mean, that's like the opposite of what we're looking for tomorrow. Ben Simmons not born to play here. Nick Foles absolutely born to play here. I'm looking. Hey, I will put something together tonight. I will have it ready. I'm going to go deep into this list.
All right. Well, until you do that, what's nugget number 2?
All right. Well, we can agree to disagree. Nick Foles deserves to have his number retired. There's no doubt about it. And by the way, number 9 was my number in high school, so I have a little bit of a bias there too. I'm just saying.
Oh, now you reveal you covered the cover story here. Come on.
I'm just saying. It's a great number. It's a great number anyway. It deserves to be retired. His name's Nick.
Move on to number 2, Nugget boy.
Nugget number 2. We got to talk about the Phillies a little bit here. Last night, they won the series. They avoid losing 7 straight series. Yes, the last time they won a series was when they swept the Los Angeles Dodgers in July. July 11th was the final game of that series. So they've had success against the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm still a little bit worried, though, Josh. Kyle Schwarber had a great night. 3 home runs, 7 ribbies for them. Fantastic. But you got to get the other guys involved. Like, they don't win that game without Kyle Schwarber last night. Are you still a little concerned heading into the Arizona Diamondbacks series about the offense? I know they just won the series. I know they scored 9 runs last night. Great. It was a majority because of the 3 home runs of Kyle Schwarber. Are you thinking they maybe get back on track more so in this Arizona series? What does a good series and a good end of this road trip look like for the Phillies? Is it a split?
I think it's a split for 2 reasons. One, because the Zach Gallen, Aaron Nola matchup definitely has me scratching my head a little bit. I'm a little concerned about that. I don't have a ton of faith in Kobe Allard tonight, right? Jordan Montgomery, I know he hasn't had a great year, but he's still a left-handed pitcher. We know how the Phillies lineup has been a bit haphazard against lefties this year. I think that if you walk out, and by the way, I don't know if you know this, they're doing a special ceremony for the Diamondbacks in Arizona for beating the Phillies in the NLCS last year. I mean, they're really rubbing their face in the dirt in this series. So I tend to think that the Phillies should be like, look, if we walk out of here with a split, we salvage the road trip.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just a little concerned because it was magic from Kyle Schwarber last night. So, like, that's the reason they really won that game. So,
but see, here's the thing. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
I want to know from you. Isn't this how the team was built, though? Wasn't this team built with the idea that if Harper and Real Muto and Castellanos have a down night, Schwarber will step up. If Schwarber has a down night, Turner steps. Like, wasn't this lineup made for the possibility that other guys will have a down night and someone else will step up?
Yes, and that's been the problem, right? Like, they've all been bad. Most of them, they all haven't been hitting, and that's why they were in that little bit of a slump over the past month or so, because that was how the team was built. If, all right, Turner's not going to be on tonight, maybe Harper will pick him up, or Schwarber will pick him up, and vice versa, and you could go on and on. The problem with last night is it was all Schwarber. You're not going to get 3 home runs from Schwarber or somebody every single night. It's just unrealistic at this point. So I'm a little concerned. Arizona's a good team. They rub it in the Phillies' faces. I'm with you, though. A split in Arizona will work wonders. You go 5-5 on the road trip. You start getting your offense back a little bit. You come back home against some bad division teams, and then I think you can right the ship a little bit here if you're the Phils. But, yeah, I'm a little wary because it was the 3 home runs last night, and nobody else is really stepping up completely yet. But it's going to take time throughout this month.
Yeah, listen, I understand what you're saying. I totally get it, but I started the show saying, look, we got to give Schwarber credit. He's had an amazing stretch since the All-Star break, and it really goes to show you that the All-Star break is not always a win for guys. Schwarber sat at home, hit the reset button, came out firing. Harper goes to the All-Star break, comes back, and he's slumping. So it does make you wonder sometimes.
Yeah, and, Schwarber's been great all year, man. He's hit more singles this year. He's walking. I was talking to somebody earlier, his plate discipline has been fantastic this year. He has been everything you want in a leadoff hitter. I mean, he's just been great. And I don't know if you saw last night, Jimmy Rollins' reaction to the home run.
That was funny. That was funny.
How about that?
Gotta love J-Roll getting the camera time.
Yeah, you have to. And I'm just saying, Schwarber, I mean, I know Jimmy did it for a long time, but Schwarber, I don't know. Is he my new favorite lead? I know I've said it before, how much I love Schwarber in the leadoff hole. Is he overtaking Jimmy as my favorite leadoff hitter in Phillies history? He might be. He's just been so good this year. And when you can start a game off with a home run, I don't know. He might be my favorite. He might not be the best, but he might be my personal favorite.
Listen, I think that, the people who are still against Schwarber being the leadoff hitter, they're overlooking like Billy Schwein, right? That's an example. They're overlooking the fact that I gotta look up the stat real quick, but I believe the Phillies are now 20-8 in the last 2 years when he leads up the game with a home run. Let me double check that for you.
Yeah, I know it's way over 500. And when you can start the game off and scare the pitcher like that, you are going to be in a world of good fortune. Like, he can do so much. Like, he's walking. He's hitting singles more so this year than he was last year.
Sorry,
he has the power.
It's actually better than I thought. It's actually 19-4.
It's 19-4. How about that?
I gave him 4 losses. It's a bad job by me, Nick.
Yeah, bad job by you. You're undervaluing Schwartz here. All right, Josh, come on. We got to do a better job than that.
19-4 the last 2 seasons when he hits a leadoff home run, the Phillies win.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, listen, Schwarber's been really
go
good.
text that to Schweiner during the next break, okay?
I will. I every time usually Schwarber does good, I text him to make sure he knows. This is the leadoff hitter.
He hates that.
And, he absolutely can't stand it. I mess with him on Saturdays and sometimes Sundays when I'm filling in then, because he was in the camp that, like, there was a lot of people in that camp for a little while when Schwarber was struggling and the Phillies were struggling, right? Like, should they move Schwarber down to the 4 hole? So, and clearly you should.
Clearly he shouldn't. All right, so we at least agree on Schwarber. We didn't agree on Nick Foles, but we agreed on Schwarber.
Yes, we do. All right, final nugget here is I was going to talk about the game here. We kind of started with it, but I want to end with it. Joel Embiid and the Olympics, man. Now, they're up 91-86 now with a little over a minute to go over Serbia. This is the go to the gold medal game, I believe.
Yes.
Now, I kind of just wanted to talk about Joel a little bit. He's taken a lot of heat for playing for USA, just the style of play, and it's a different game in when you play against the world. I just want to ask you, because I'm getting the feeling he's starting to become this villain in basketball right now. Do you think that's a good thing for Joel Embiid?
It's a good thing if he embraces it. See, the problem is that you could be a villain and it actually not help you. You know what I mean? Like, part of being the villain is Joel Embiid has to own it. He has to embrace it. He does like the DX chop he used to do every once in a while, right? Like, he can't just do the chop and then walk away. Like, he's got to go full pro wrestling heel mode. He's got to embrace the Harvey Dent. You either die the hero or you live you long enough to see yourself become the villain. Like, he's got to own that role. It doesn't matter if you're the villain if you don't go full villain mode. And the problem with Embiid is, like Barkley said on podcast P. Thank you. I was going to say Paul George's podcast. On Paul George's podcast, he was saying that, Joel needs not to mope around. He's got to be like, hey, I'm playing with great players. Watch me do this. Like, watch me go do something because I have less on my shoulders. Like, Joel needs to be like, I'm the villain. Watch me block 5 shots tonight. I'm the villain. I'm going to dunk on your face and mean mug you every night, not just every other, whenever he feels like it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think he's, to an extent, kind of embraced it overseas, like during the Olympics. Like, he's gotten booed because they wanted to play for the French team, and he had the opportunity to play elsewhere as well, but he chose Team USA. He's going back at the fans a little bit, saying, yeah, keep the boos coming. I'm with you. Embrace this. I want the Joel Embiid villain arc to be something special. And if it starts in the Olympics around great players, he can learn from the LeBron James of the world, the Kevin Durant, the Currys, right? Like, he's playing with so many. And if he gets that taste of winning a gold, how can it translate over to when he comes back to play for the Sixers this year? You have a new squad around you. This is maybe one of the better squads he's had since being a 76er. Has Paul George, has Caleb Martin, Eric Gordon, Andre Drummond behind him now. Obviously, it's about staying healthy, but what can he take from the Olympics now to come back with the Sixers, be the leader, and embrace that villain role as he's kind of taken across social media, across basketball, and be that guy and make it much sweeter when you do go advance into the playoffs and hopefully to an NBA title. I think if he continues to do that, like you said, he buys into it, he's blocking shots, he is that guy that everyone's booing when he's going to away games. Yeah, I think it could work out and could work to his benefit.
It kind of goes back to the little joke about Star Wars, right? The idea that you have to, embrace the dark side, Anakin, the whole thing from Star Wars Episode 3. And it's like, Anakin never had to embrace the dark side the way the Sith Lord wanted. He could have just gone his own path and just been a bad what. He could have been a bad man, as Stephen A. Smith would say, but instead he went and got a little emotional about it. I think Joel Embiid, he can't be emotional about it. He can't be like Anakin Skywalker and become the apprentice of somebody else. He's got to go blaze his own trail. And I think if he blazes his own trail and goes out and does it his own way, he has a chance to do something special next year.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And as you're saying that, Josh, Team USA secured the victory over Serbia. So they're going to the final game for the gold. So Embiid could be coming back with a little bit of gold. He beat Jokic, his biggest rival. I mean, the debate for Jokic and Embiid have gone on for years. Team USA is going to the gold medal game. Pretty cool stuff. But that's all I got for you today, Josh. 3 nuggets for you, 3-pack. Now you get 4 hours of me tomorrow. And, I'm going to come with that list for Philly athletes who belonged here and were born to play in Philadelphia.
I do want to let you know, people do not agree with you on the text board, Nick.
With what? With Nick Foles?
Yes. So Jeff from Ocean City, he chimes in, you can't retire numbers in football. You'll run out of them. Ring of Honor, Ring of Fame is good enough.
Nope, they need to retire the number. The number should never be worn again. I love Jeff. Jeff in Ocean City, fantastic. But I totally disagree. We'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow because I can't wait to see you in the flesh, Josh, to let you know how wrong you are and why number 9 needs to go up in the rafters.
Steve from Northfield says, if there's an argument to be made to retire Nick Foles' number, that's like a Giants fan saying they should retire David Tyree's number.
No, it's not. It's not even close. The Eagles never won a Super Bowl before Nick Foles, and they were counted out. They were underdogs in every game, and the backup quarterback did it. I'm just saying, I think he deserves it.
Really quick, because you mentioned the Olympics. We got a minute before the end of the hour here.
Okay.
If Joel Embiid wins the gold here, right? Let's say he walks away with the gold, but he never wins an NBA championship. Is he better or worse than Barkley?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, does he get, at least Barkley got to a finals. You know what I mean? Like Barkley got
But
to
what
a
if Embiid
finals,
does?
Barkley has a gold too.
What if the Sixers go to the NBA finals this year and lose in 7 games, right?
Then that's tough. You have to look at all the numbers then and the analytics, and that would be a close one. But and they're 2 different positions too, so that's tough as well.
They are different, but they're similar. I mean, Barkley was well, what's funny is Barkley is about like half a foot shorter than Embiid, right? But Barkley's a better rebounder than Joel Embiid.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. But Embiid's an insane scorer and a great defender.
And by the way, have you ever seen a lazier rebounder than Joel Embiid?
No, I don't know that I have. And it has some. I think some of it has to do with the wariness, especially the recency bias in the Knicks series, the wariness of the knees and stuff like that. I think that might have a little bit to do with it. But yeah, it's funny because Charles was a better rebounder.
Nick's Nuggets, he'll be in here tomorrow for 4 hours. Me and Nick carrying you on a happy hour Friday on 97.3 ESPN. Great stuff, Nick, and good luck on your campaign of pressing the flesh for Nick Foles' number retirement.
Oh, I'll keep it rolling. I'm going to make sure I'll die on this hill, okay? Nick Foles, retire the number.
I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. I'll talk to you.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Yes, Team USA beat Serbia. They came from behind to get the victory, and now they play France Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time is the gold medal game. United States versus France, which has a very interesting rivalry. For those who don't know, the French have always been a bit of a begrudging country against the United States because, the French saw the American Revolution, tried to replicate it, and imploded in their face. They were being beat down in 2 world wars, and they needed the United States to come in there and save their rear twice. There's a little bit of a historical animosity, shall we call it, between the French and the Americans. So keep that in mind as we go into Saturday. That's probably part of the reason why those French fans are booing Embiid, because some of them grew up in a school system that doesn't really paint America in a good light, to say the least. All right, coming up, we'll continue the Eagles and Phillies conversation on the other side. Plus, coming up at 5:25, Mike Golic Jr. joins the show. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles return to open the 2024 preseason tomorrow night in Baltimore against the Ravens.
They've got him! It's a sack! It's Brandon Graham!
Listen to all the action with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick, with pregame coverage starting at 6:30 and kickoff at 7:30. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code SUPPORT.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
High five! Up top! Heck yeah!
Dave's company just got the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business.
Yeah, 5 years!
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
High five for gig speed.
5 years of advanced security.
Security win.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Our rate ain't changing.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
There it is.
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Woohoo!
Now he's got savings.
I'm so excited.
Yep. Dave's feeling it, but it's only for a limited time, so don't wait. Switch today and ask how to get the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping.
Woo! Ends 8/21/24. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how happy and healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Introducing Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food.
I have been feeding them Dr. Marty's freeze-dried raw formula for years. And this food is a big part of why their jaws are more flexible, their teeth are cleaner, and their coats shinier, and why they seem more youthful and playful.
And dog parents across the U.S. are loving it.
My dog Hazel is a 10-and-a-half-year-old golden retriever. And ever since I've been feeding her Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend food, she is like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
We're so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee. And for a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of Cod Krispies. They're wild-caught, ultra-crunchy cod skin treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Summer's just getting started, so fill your cooler with the smooth and refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. It tastes like real iced tea because it's made with real brewed tea. And with a 5% kick of alcohol, Twisted Tea is perfect for the beach, the lake, or wherever you're hanging out and day drinking with your friends. Look for the bright yellow cans. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Okay, raise your hand if you want to make your life a little bit easier. Great. Now raise your other hand if you like to be comfortable. Perfect. Now that you have both hands raised, imagine putting on your shoes. And that, folks, right there is your answer to an easier, more comfortable life. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. This is footwear you don't need your hands to put on. They can be raised in the air, and you can just step it and go. Why don't you experience what people can't stop talking about? Life-changing Skechers Slip-ins. Get your Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort studio, it's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN, the 5 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by Key Acura of Atlantic City. For a great car buying experience, go see Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City on Tilton Road in Egg Harbor Township, your small but friendly dealer. Visit them online at Key Acura of Atlantic City.com. For those of you just tuning into the show here in the 5 o'clock hour, let's hit the reset button, what you may have missed earlier on the show. And also remind you, coming up in about 25 minutes from now, we will talk with Mike Golic Jr., the co-host of the Gojo and Golic show on the DraftKings Network. We will be getting into more football this hour. Eagles counting down about 26 hours until Philadelphia takes on the Ravens for the first preseason game, heading ahead of the 2024 NFL season in Philadelphia. Here's the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Newly minted Pro Football Hall of Famer Merrill Reese on the call, along with Eagles great Mike Quick on the call each and every game here in football, South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. We talked some Phillies earlier in the show. They continue their road trip. They took 2 out of 3 from Los Angeles. Kyle Schwarber now, in the 18 games since the All-Star break, he has 19 RBI in those 18 games, 8 home runs, including the 2 last night. Gill is now 19-4 when he leads off the game with a home run. And I was saying earlier, and you guys can chime in how you feel at 609-403-0973 in your DM into the 973 ESPN mobile power by First Bank Scout. I gotta tell you guys, for as much as I could just talk Eagles the rest of the day and the rest of the night, I would feel remiss if I didn't talk with the Phillies for a moment because of the fact that what Kyle Schwarber pulled off to help this team win in Los Angeles. Kyle Schwarber accounted for 9 of the Phillies' 18 runs. 9 out of 18 in the series versus Dodgers. The dude had an incredible set of games. And it brings my mind back to the thought that this team, Dave Dombrowski, built it with the idea that I'm paying these guys all this money. I need them to go out there and do their job, right? I need them to go out there and hit. Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies built this team originally with the idea that they were going to out-hit their problems. If one guy was having a bad night, somebody else would step up, right? That's why you spend almost $1 billion on a lineup that has Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, right? You're spending a lot of money. You're expecting somebody to step up. Well, Kyle Schwarber's earning his paycheck, and I don't think he gets enough credit for the season he's having. He is so much a better hitter than he was last year. He has played so much better than he was playing last year. Remember, last year, he finished the year with a 197 batting average. He's already at 261 right now. Even if he finishes the year with a 250 batting average, that's an exponential increase. He's already up 50 points on his on-base percentage from last year. He leads the National League in walks, says Kyle Schwarber. And yeah, I don't know if he's going to get to 45 home runs this year. He only has 27 right now. If you extrapolate, 27 homers in 103 games. I mean, listen, you break that out for the rest of the year, which is what, 60 games. I'm assuming that he's not going to get to 45 unless he goes on another tear. But he's a much better hitter, much better season as an all-around hitter. And to me, I think that is what is key with these. The key for me is the reality that he's a better hitter this year. He's hitting a home run in every 4 games, right? In math breaks. So, let's say you have 60 more games. What is that? So that's do a little math here while talking on the radio. Not my so he's projected to hit 42 home runs this year. So he's still going to get the 40 homer category for the 3rd straight year. But he's doing it, striking out less, walking more, with a better batting average. 31 years old. Like I said, he might not have been an all-star this year. The dude deserves a ton of credit for becoming a better baseball player. He's hitting shots. Remember, he was this time. I think that is a huge part of the conversation. Now you go into the Diamondbacks series. As I go to Earnshaw last hour of Field Sports App, Josh Hennig goes to my Gill on 973 ESPN. You go back to final stretch of this road trip. 4 games in Arizona. Your goal should be split this, right? Your goal should be to come out of this with, because when you think about who the Phillies are, they're not a great road team, and they're not very against left-handed. Well, you have 4 games on the road, and one of them involves the left-handed first pitcher. So when you think about it, at least for me, I prefer to kind of put my eye level at the fact that who the Phillies are. Something to keep an eye on as we moving forward for the Phillies. On the text board at 609-403-0973. Tom from Margate chimes in. Scott, right? We're burying this year. With cleaner and cleaner. Yeah, man, I definitely think the leader thing is factor. You know, we talked about this months ago when he first got to spring training about how he looked like he lost 12 to 15 pounds. And that obviously has made a difference for him. You know, I don't know if losing weight matters for every athlete like it did for Schwarber, but for whatever reason, it does matter for him. It does make a difference for him. And so I am curious to find out, you know, is him staying at this weight something he can do long term? Is him staying at this weight something that is sustainable? Is it something that makes sense for him? I'll be curious to find out because, you know, he's 31 years old. If he can maintain this level of production for a couple more years, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's already at 273 homers. If he gets another 15 homers this year, he's at 288. He could be at 400 home runs in a few years. And if you're the Phillies, do you really get rid of him at that point? You know, no one talks about Kyle Schwarber's contract. We always talk about Castellanos' contract because of how exasperating he is. Kyle Schwarber is going to be a free agent after next season. Can the Phillies really afford to let this guy walk? They have around 600 winning percentage. Okay, they win about 60% of their games with him as the leadoff hitter. He's going to be 33 years old when he hits free agency. Don't you have to rationalize you have to keep him for at least a couple more years? Don't you rationalize that this guy needs to be part of this team for at least a few more years? Like I said, he's 31 years old. He's going to be 33. If you just resign yourself that he's your DH, I mean, David Ortiz was productive until what age? Let me look it up. I'm not saying Kyle Schwarber is David Ortiz, but you know, guys like David Ortiz, Edgar Martinez, they were pretty much career designated hitters. I mean, let's see here. David Ortiz, I mean, he was 40 years old, had 127 RBI. So let's say that he's not David Ortiz. Okay, let's pull up Edgar Martinez. Okay, there's a guy who had an amazing career as a DH. See, Edgar Martinez, let's see here. So Martinez's last great year was also 40 years old. He played till he was 41. Okay, so there's 2 examples of guys who were DHs. Let me look up one more guy. I'm going to pull up Chili Davis. What was Chili Davis's last good year? Because he was a guy not in the Hall of Fame. 37 years old. Okay. So if we're saying that Kyle Schwarber might not be David Ortiz or Edgar Martinez, 2 guys are in the Hall of Fame, and let's say his floor is Chili Davis. Chili Davis's last great year was at 37 years old. He had 30 homers and 90 RBI. So if you're telling me that Kyle Schwarber can play until he's 37 years old. He's going to be a free agent in his age 33 year. Don't you have to rationalize? You have to lock this guy up. Don't you think that means you have to get this guy under contract for another 4 years then? Excuse me. Don't you have to rationalize that Kyle Schwarber is so important to this team that you got to find a way to keep him beyond the 2025 season? Because if he's just going to be a DH, he could DH for a while. I just mentioned Hall of Famers David Ortiz, Edgar Martinez. They were DHs until they were 40. Chili Davis, not a Hall of Famer, was a productive DH till 37 years old. So if the ceiling is Hall of Fame caliber and the floor, the bare minimum, should be very good player. Yeah, the Schwarberian, as Tom from Margate calls him at 609-403-0973. The Schwarberian, yeah, he is he's got to be here for a little while longer. By the way, shout out to Tom in Margate and Jerry from Brigantine. That's Jerry with a G from Brigantine. We're going to do the players born to play in Philadelphia tomorrow, but I appreciate you guys submitting your own lists, okay? So for those who didn't hear, me and Nick Earnshaw, we are going to do because somebody texted the show earlier today at 609-403-0973 and said that a guy like Nick Foles was born to play in Philadelphia. And then the texter also brought up Bryce Harper and Brian Dawkins. So I said I could come up with 6 guys off top of my head who were born to play in Philadelphia. So who are the 10? That'll be me and Nick Earnshaw conversation we have tomorrow here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill here on a Thursday edition on 97.3 ESPN. So to come in about 11 minutes from now, we'll talk with Mike Golic Jr. from the DraftKings Network. Of course, he is the co-host of Gojo and Golic. Getting it back to the Eagles, right? You know, I talked with Chris Franklin and Andrew DiCecco earlier about this on the show. And I got to tell you guys, I am very, very closely watching a couple positions tomorrow night. And the reason why I'm watching those positions is because they're all on defense. For all the hoopla and all of the drama and all the mainstream media latching onto conversations about Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, the biggest question to me has been, always will be, the defense. You didn't bring in Vic Fangio. You didn't sign Devin White, Zach Bond. You didn't draft Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. You didn't sign Bryce Huff. You didn't make all these moves because your defense was good enough last year. The Eagles' defense was an abomination. The Eagles' defense clearly lost them games last year. If it wasn't for how bad the Eagles' defense was, they don't lose the game to the Arizona Cardinals. The Cowboys game might have been more competitive. The 2 games in December, I mean. Maybe you don't go to overtime with Buffalo in that game in the rain at the Link. I was there. I remember. It was cold. It was wet. It was miserable. If your defense played better last year, maybe your season plays out differently. And so you go from a defense that was the 3rd worst in the NFL in points allowed. They were second to last. They were the 2nd worst team in pass defense in all the NFL last year. So they were 3rd worst in points allowed. They were 2nd to last in pass defense. To me, I have way more questions coming into this year about I have way more questions coming into this year about the defense than the offense. Who's going to start across from Darius Slay? So far, it's mostly been Isaiah Rodgers getting the first team reps. You heard Andrew DiCecco mention an hour ago on Football at 4 that as of right now, he expects it to be Isaiah Rodgers. Chris Franklin said the same thing in the 3 o'clock hour. So that's two guys who are at training camp every day looking at the team with their eyes are saying, Isaiah Rodgers, this is his job to lose, basically. You drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. He may not get the opportunity to be the starter. To be the starter at outside corner yet. Keely Ringo's also been getting reps at outside corner. So the question is, did a year off benefit Isaiah Rodgers? Did the year off hurt Isaiah Rodgers in terms of NFL speed? Again, questions that should be asked. Linebacker play was poor last year. Zach Cunningham, Miles Jack, Shaq Leonard, all these guys, Nicholas Morrow, they weren't good enough. You've done a rebuild. You've overhauled it. Now you got Devin White, Zach Bond. You're hoping Nakobe Dean can come back from injury and be a contributor. Is that going to be good enough? Is the trio of Dean, Bond, and White good enough? Well, we're going to find out. And also, Jalen Carter, big shoes to fill with no Fletcher Cox. Does he and Jordan Davis step up without Fletcher Cox out there anymore? And by the way, Vic Fangio seems to love Milton Williams. Does that love for Milton Williams pay off in a Fangio defense, unlike the way it did under Sean Desai and Matt Patricia last year? So like I said, I got a lot of questions about the Eagles, and most of them are on defense, not the offense. We'll get into all that and more coming up next. Mike Golic Jr. joins me here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. I've been telling you about the beautiful MDX I've been driving from Key Acura of Atlantic City. But guess what? The brand new 2025 MDX have just arrived. Between now and August 31st, you can lease a slick 2025 MDX all-wheel drive for just $599 a month with $49.95 down, or lease a 2024 Integra for $299 a month with $49.95 down while they last. Go see Rocco at Key Acura, Tilton Road in EHT, your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
This year, Dell Technologies' Back to School event is delivering impressive tech with an inspiring purpose. Learn how Dell is helping Computer Aid, whose work is helping solar community hubs with tech and AI literacy skills to empower remote, displaced, or disconnected communities around the world. Help Dell make a difference and shop AI-ready PCs powered by Snapdragon X Series processors at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Taco Bell's new cheesy street chalupas have a lot going for them. For one, they come in pairs, both with your choice of shredded chicken or grilled marinated steak. Then there's the cheesy chalupa shells and creamy jalapeno ranch sauce. Can't count those out either. But the star of the show is their authentic street style, topped with onions and cilantro, and perfectly sized for eating one-handed. You know, while you're walking around the street or your living room, wherever. Grab some cheesy street chalupas at a participating Taco Bell today.
For a limited time only while supplies last.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Because nobody likes having to choose. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
Jane, I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
Or being a dog person and a cat person.
Who wants a treat? Who's a good boy?
Or like being an extrovert and an introvert.
Woo! This is so fun! I can't wait to go home.
At T-Mobile, you don't have to choose. You can get the benefits you want and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how much you can save with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, when you switch, you can keep your phone, and we'll pay it off up to $800.
Via virtual prepaid card in 15 days. Qualifying unlocked device, credit, service, and timely redemption required. Card has no cash access and expires in 6 months. See T-Mobile.com.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. Here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The new John Deere Gator XUV lets you cut, pack, drive, scout, weld, stack, feed, pull, load, tow, spray, and haul, all in a single day. Because with the highest cargo box volume in its class, customizable features, and a towing capacity of up to 4,000 pounds, it gets the job done. You just have to get in the seat. Learn more at your John Deere dealer or visit johndeere.com/GatorXUV.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Nick Foles calls it a career. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. The Super Bowl 52 MVP announced his retirement earlier today and will officially retire opener against the Falcons on Monday, September 16th. With that being said, our 97.3 ESPN question of the day is, other than the Phillies special, what is your favorite Nick Foles moment during his time in Philadelphia? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. I think for me, it would have to be the NFC Championship game when he threw up the flea flicker to Torrey Smith for a touchdown. That moment will resonate for me for the rest of my life. No doubt that game was special, and that play was special. Congrats to Nick Foles on a big career. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Don't miss Borgata's $1.5 million summer showdown. Now through August 31st, 1,500 winners will earn a share of $1.5 million. Plus, 2 lucky players will win a 2024 Ford Bronco or Jeep Rubicon. Earn entries for drawings held every Saturday, including 2 grand prize drawings on July 27th and August 31st. The $1.5 million summer showdown, only at Borgata Hotel, Casino, and Spa. Must be 21 or older. Players must be present to win. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Debbie will make its closest pass to New Jersey late tomorrow. Probably as a tropical depression, we'll be watching for 1, maybe 2+ inches of rain, wind gust up to 40 miles an hour, maybe an isolated tornado. Surf is rough, but the coastal flooding threat is minimal. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight and through much of tomorrow. That last burst of heavy rain and wind tomorrow evening. High temperature 85. Sun comes out this weekend. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
You have the choice, whether it's going out to dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant. Those choices help to put money back into your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts a spotlight on local restaurants.
Gojo's Italian Grill, Egg Harbor Township. Every dish is made with passion and the freshest ingredients. Vincenzo's Ristorante, a delectable Italian meal in Galloway. VincenzoSmithfield.com. Chico & Sons in Northfield, voted #1 sub shop in South Jersey. ChicoandSons.com.
Thank you for supporting these great local restaurants from Town Square Media, South Jersey.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
I think at this point, because of the moves that the Eagles have made, because of the talent still on that roster, I do think that they still have a chance of being good and steadying the ship. But, man, it does a lot to fracture that when the core of your organization, the quarterback and the head coach that are supposed to be in lockstep, all of a sudden we're finding out just don't have a real great communication style between them. And, oh, by the way, the big leader on your offense, Jason Kelce, who might have done a good job of mitigating that as well, is now getting ready to be a broadcaster.
That's Mike Golic Jr. on the Gojo and Golic show on the DraftKings Network. Of course, you get to every morning on the DraftKings Network. Or you can get your podcast wherever you get your podcast. look up Gojo and Golic. And Mike Golic Jr. joins us now here on 97.3 ESPN. Mike, how you doing today?
Oh, appreciate that. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So I want to get a little more clarity from you on that point you made the other day, because I think that the Kelsey part of this conversation has not been talked about enough. Like, you're losing a guy who was the centerpiece of your offensive line and your offense for over a decade. And now we're just supposed to assume that Cam Jurgens just going to walk in there and do what Jason Kelsey did when Kelsey couldn't even do that the first several years of his own career. So talk to us about the Kelsey factor, because I don't think we've talked about that enough in the aftermath of his retirement.
Yeah, so I think for me, the thing with Jason is as much mental as it is anything else. For Jalen coming into the league, like it's situated for a lot of young quarterbacks, he had a center that had digested a ton of high-level football, and I always think of them like a team, and depending on the structure, which one of those is more tenured, who's the veteran of the group, you tend to give more responsibility maybe to one over the other in terms of helping set protection, helping make the calls for everybody up front. In general, getting all the chess pieces laid out for everybody up front. And I think that area for Jalen Hurts, especially as he's transitioning to a new offense where we've heard them say, hey, 95% of this is different this offseason, and we're probably going to put a lot more on your plate. That is a lot that's all of a sudden thrust on Jalen, where now he's going to probably have to be the one, along with the rest of the veterans up front on that offensive line, that'll certainly help mitigate some of this. But now it really is in Jalen's lap to be the one that's much more the captain of this ship. And listen, I don't know the specifics inside the building. Maybe he already had more of that on his plate than I'm giving him credit for. But knowing Jason Kelsey's pedigree, that's a pretty important part of his game that I think probably isn't getting enough mention.
Now, you mentioned about what's going on in the building. Jalen Hurts did admit to the media, Mike, that he's looking forward to the opportunity to make more of those calls. The Tim McManus article suggested that he was not allowed to make a lot of those pre-snap Nick Sirianni, it was his show, and Jalen Hurts was trying to do what he was told. So is it a good thing, though, that Jalen says, yeah, I want this opportunity to make these pre-snap calls?
Oh, yeah, it's a very good thing. It's just a matter of if he's fully ready for it or not. And if he is, and if he does have that appetite, that's what the great quarterbacks want. They want to be the last one holding the pen so that they can have all of that. In any team situation in life, whether it's doing a show like we all do now, or especially being on a sports team, it works better when the people that are in charge and the people that are actually out there doing it have ownership over it. And so if Jalen Hurts takes this offense in that way and says, I want ownership over this, I want the mastery of it, it's going to make everything better, because when you can load more up on your quarterback, it makes life easier for everybody else. I always explain those long exotic play calls that everyone loves to lionize in the NFL that are like 8-word play calls that we would always hear from Peyton or Brady before the snap. That's just basically saying the quarterback's got this. He's going to understand all of that so he can just give you your little part. Because I was always listening for like 2 words in that to know what the offensive line's protection or run play was. That's how it works when you've got a quarterback that is willing and able to carry all of that weight for the team. So if Jalen's up to that, wants that, that is absolutely a great thing for Philadelphia.
That's a fascinating question, because I was listening to Dan Orlovsky last week, and he was talking about how, when we talk about these quarterbacks, your Jalen Hurts, your Tua Tagovailoa, these guys who are not Patrick Mahomes. And he said, it's not fair to say they're not Mahomes and Brady. It's like, well, no bleep. Nobody is that guy, right? So, what is a realistic expectation then for the guys who are not the elites, Mike?
It's to go out there and to run the show confidently, right? Like have the operation in a good place where it's clean pre and post snap. You can go and you can take command of certain situations. You want someone that, especially in the critical moments, 2-minute drill, third downs and obvious passing situations, stuff like that, you're going to have everyone ready to go. And then in those instances, you can allow your playmakers to make plays. You look at a team like San Francisco with Brock Purdy. You look at a team like Philadelphia and the roster they've got around Jalen. There are plenty of guys there that can go out and make extraordinary plays. It doesn't have to be Jalen every time, but for guys like Pat, guys like Josh Allen, guys like Lamar Jackson even, you're a lot more comfortable with them being the one to go outside of the structure of the play every now and then because they see something, to trust their instinct in those spots. And so I think it's just a matter of how much leeway and latitude you get and in what moments are you comfortable with. And that's earned. That's one of those things I always thought defensive linemen. And you'd see guys that would love to arm over right at the line of the scrimmage, try and back cut it, make a big play in the backfield. And if you make enough of those plays, the coach goes, all right, I'm comfortable with you taking that shot. If you're Aaron Donald, if you're someone of that caliber. But if you're a guy that takes a bunch of those and misses and now you're getting gashed up the middle, coach is going to say, hey, listen, why don't you just do your job more? We'll put you in some positions to succeed when we think it's appropriate, and then we can all be on our merry way. And so I think for most quarterbacks, it's a lot more akin to the latter there, where it's, hey, we understand and appreciate you on ownership of this, but we got a lot of other really talented guys in this group that we think can help make the job easier on you more often than not.
Talking with Mike Golic Jr., co-host of Gojo and Golic, heard Monday through Friday mornings on the DraftKings Network, actually seen on the DraftKings Network. You can listen to the podcast, subscribe and download wherever you get your podcasts. Mike, you mentioned something interesting there, which is the defense. For someone like myself, I'm way more questions about the defense for the Eagles. It was one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year. Now you got Fangio. Now you revamp the linebackers. We don't even know who the starting outside corner is still at this point. Who or what is something that you're looking for from the 2024 version of the Eagles defense?
Can you stay healthy long enough, and can you be in the right place when you're supposed to? I mean, that's quietly, we talk about all this Hurts and Sirianni stuff. The offense, sure, it got a little stale last year, and there weren't a lot of answers for the blitz. All these things that we've gone over ad nauseum at this point. Defense is too banged up to party up the middle of that defense, and then in the back end in the middle in the same spot. They were so hurt that in a league where, hey, listen, you're barely going to find 11 starters on each side of the ball that are quality enough for you to go out there and feel good. And that's the top line guys, let alone when you're getting down to the second or third. So the Eagles honestly just need a lot of injury luck to even out. And then they need some of their draft picks up front, a lot of the Georgia guys, to start to pop a little bit more in the front seven, and then hope that their young guys can get up to speed early in the secondary, which I'm pretty confident in with a coach like Vic Fangio, who's been around the block, who has a very clear identity and is used to being able to communicate that stuff. And seems like, you know, he's in a situation that he's more comfortable in now.
Mike, a lot of people are picking the Eagles to win the division, in part because the Giants, well, they're not very good. And the Cowboys lost 2 offensive line starters and Tony Pollard and decided not to really replace them. But by the way, they're all in for this year. And then Washington, they got backwards hat Dan down there and Jaden Daniels. So, you know, what is your take on the NFC East? Because in recent years, we've always expected 2 teams to come out of this division. And now there's really a lot of questions about all the teams in the division.
Yeah, I think right now I still view the NFC East as a 2-team race between Philly and Dallas. I think for Dallas, listen, I know there's been up and down reports about Tyler Guyton, their rookie left tackle, and how he's gone through camp so far. They've generally done well with the guys that they've identified and drafted high. There's a good culture and pedigree in that O-line room. So we'll see if it can get up to speed. And to your point, they didn't really upgrade or change anything. That's still an outfit that's won 12 games a year the last 3 years. And so I'm not going to freak out too much. I don't expect them to all of a sudden be a team that's going to make a deep playoff run. We know too much to expect that. But they're still going to be in there. Them and Philly, talent-wise, are just in a different place. Experience-wise, certainly a quarterback in a different place. I think Washington's the team with the widest range of possible outcomes, just because we don't know what Jaden Daniels is going to do yet. We're going to get to see him for the first time in preseason this weekend. We remember the stuff from last year, but there are questions I had about his game at the next level. Can he take care of his body a little more? Is he going to be able to operate more often as a pocket passer when he doesn't have that ripcord run option against better defenders? Is that going to be there? But I'm interested in them. The Giants, I think they're going to be a landmine team. Hey, their defensive front is going to be just nasty enough to get you every once in a while. Malik Neighbors seems like he is exactly what they wanted him to be. I just think we're at a point right now where I can't expect Daniel Jones to make a monster next step that I think this team, based on how their offensive line is still structured, would need him to make in order for them to be a true contender. So I would say that's probably my 30,000-foot view of the division right now.
Couple more for Mike Golic Jr. here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Speaking of the big point of view, I got to ask you, I don't understand all these people who are picking the Buffalo Bills. Like, am I the only one who realizes that they lost like a gazillion starters from last year and no Stephon Diggs? Like, am I supposed to really believe, Mike, that Josh Allen's just going to carry the band of misfit toys into the postseason?
I mean, he kind of did last year. Like, the back half of that season, you weren't getting prime Stephon Diggs. His numbers all were plummeting by the end of the season last year. Their defense and a lot of the guys they lost, Trey White and company in the secondary, were already injured and gone for the year. And so he really did kind of do it. And I understand it might be oversimplifying to an extent, but while Sean McDermott has some flaws as a head coach in some of the decision-making that's gone on, he's a pretty capable defensive coordinator, and we saw that defense that he was back at the helm of last year with his fingerprints all over it in times when it mattered down the stretch. And then I think offensively, building around Josh Allen as your primary threat in the run and pass game, kind of time releasing it towards the end of the season, was a plan that worked for them because Josh is one of those super weapons, the quarterback that we talked about earlier. So while, yeah, listen, the offense might not have that capable piece anymore to consistently threaten downfield, Steph Diggs was doing that less and less. Gabe Davis could only be counted on so much for that team. And so, yeah, they're going to be waiting around for, a rookie in Keon Coleman to come online in a way that maybe he won't be ready for this year. They're going to be a little bit more tight end reliant. The offense is going to look different, but I look around the rest of the division and go, all right, I can still trust how they're built along the lines of scrimmage. I know McDermott's going to have the defense on lock. And if you're asking me to pick Josh versus the field in the rest of that division, with Aaron Rodgers coming back off an Achilles and a Dolphins team that's got a defense that's got major influx, and I should say outgoing talent and brain drain on the coaching side, then yeah, I'm probably still going to rock with Buffalo.
You mentioned Aaron Rodgers. So let me ask you, which of the two guys coming back from injury do you have more confidence in them and their team coming into this year? Is it Rodgers and the Jets, or is it Burrow and the Bengals?
I would say probably Burrow and the Bengals. I think one of the things is, Joe's just a lot younger. It was a wrist injury as opposed to a lower body injury, even though we know he's had that. And Joe Burrow, unfortunately, now we have to worry about that threat of injury because it's popped up in 2 of 4 seasons here. But Cincinnati's invested in the offensive line in a way that should hopefully help mitigate that. He's still got all those weapons there. It's a team with that kind of pedigree. And Aaron Rodgers is just older and right now playing behind an offensive line that's trying to come together and microwave results quickly. So I'm always going to be a little worried about that. I think the easy cop-out is just age and the kind of injury he's recovering from at this point in his career.
Mike, before I let you go, I want to know from you, heading into this year, which storyline is not being talked about the most, is giving you the greatest itch to talk about each morning on Golic and Gojo?
I think for me, I've been dying to talk about the Rams to anyone who will listen this offseason. And listen, they're a little banged up in camp right now. Puka Nacua, we understand, we might not see him till the regular season, and that's fine. Their offensive line's been a little banged up during the year, a group that they continued to invest in this last offseason, bringing over Jonah Jackson, moving Steve Avila, their guard from last year, their rookie, over to center. But I just think that team, yes, they lost Aaron Donald defensively, and trying to replace him in the aggregate with a bunch of young guys, that's a tall task for a lot of guys that are going to be playing their first NFL football and be expected to do it in pivotal situations without 99 taking a lot of the air out of the equation. But if that offense stays healthy, when you have Stafford and Kyron Williams and Puka and Cooper Kupp on the field at the same time, it's a buzzsaw. It's a top 5 unit in the league in one of the toughest divisions. But I think if it does come together the right way, you combine it with the coaching they've got around there, and that could be a scary, scary team this year.
He's Mike Golic Jr. Follow him on Twitter, X at Golic Jr. And check out Gojo and Golic Monday through Friday mornings on the DraftKings Network from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then wherever you get your podcasts, like, subscribe, download. Mike, appreciate you jumping on again. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, the 5 o'clock hour, being brought to you by Key Acura of Atlantic City. For a great car buying experience, go see Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City on Tilton Road in Egg Harbor Township, your small but friendly dealer. Check out their full inventory online at Key Acura Atlantic City. We'll check back on the text board coming up next, 609-403-0973, and your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how happy and healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Introducing Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food.
I have been feeding them Dr. Marty's freeze-dried raw formula for years. And this food is a big part of why their jaws are more flexible, their teeth are cleaner, and their coats shinier, and why they seem more youthful and playful.
And dog parents across the U.S. are loving it.
My dog Hazel is a 10-and-a-half-year-old golden retriever. And ever since I've been feeding her Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend food, she is like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
We're so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee. And for a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of Cod Krispies. They're wild-caught, ultra-crunchy cod skin treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not a rate based on Terry who keeps and makes the car behind them. Oh no, they're about to. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text. Text KING to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text KING to 321-321. That's KING to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Meet DJ, the master penny pincher. I'm always looking for ways to lower my electric bill. My new smart meter from Atlantic City Electric makes it a lot easier to save energy and money. I took a few minutes, logged into my account, and unlocked some cool tools like high usage alerts and customized energy saving tips I can see right on my phone. I'd say that's a pretty smart move.
We couldn't agree more, DJ. To unlock all the energy-saving benefits of your new smart meter, sign up for my account at AtlanticCityElectric.com/smartmove.
Again, sent bead story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, Hey, freshest scent ever. Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Gain scent beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent maracas smell amazing." Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain scent beads. Try Gain scent beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
On the Sports Bash, Josh and Kelly for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Phillies back in action tonight on the road trip. Eagles first preseason game tomorrow. Of course, you hear the Eagles tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN. Still hoping to get the Phillies lineup before I get out of here. Hasn't come through yet. The only news I got was Dylan Covey was for a rehab. It's literally the only thing who cared about Dylan Covey's rehab assignment was. I mean, come on. I appreciate the Phillies Twitter account. I put something out there. But I have something great out there instead. Dylan Covey rehab assignment. Get out of here with that. We want the lineup. We want to know who's playing tonight, as Nick Earnshaw would say. Text board is open at 609-403-0973. Jeff from Ocean City wanted to know, by the way, when we do our top 10 Philly athletes top 10 athletes who are born to play in Philadelphia, like the texter who earlier in the day asked, you said Nick Foles, Brian Dawkins, Bryce Harper. Those guys were born to play in Philadelphia. So Nick Earnshaw and I are going to come up with our top 10 list tomorrow. And I would say I go back as far as you want. Like, for example, to me, a guy who I think fits the mold of born to play in Philadelphia is Chuck Bednarik. So, I mean, that's what, 1955 to 1960, something like that? I mean, Chuck Bednarik was a long time ago. So that's how far back I would go, Jeff from Ocean City. I would say that anyone who comes to mind as a legend of Philadelphia sports, someone who was, they played, they looked, they talked, they acted like someone who fits the mold of the blue collar fan that watches the game. Chuck Bednarik fits that mold, so I would go back to 1960. I mean, the problem with some of the guys over the years is that some of the greatest players in Philly history are not always the most Philly-esque people. Like, Nick Foles is not going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Who's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Reggie White. But Reggie White, he didn't always fit the mold of Philadelphia. He was just such an amazing freak that the fans loved him because he was the most dominant defensive force of nature, not named Lawrence Taylor at the time. In the 1980s, the only guy who was scarier than Reggie White was Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor broke Joe Namath's leg. Lawrence Taylor would, growl sometimes at the line of scrimmage. Like, he was nuts. Reggie White would crush you and then help you up and say, God bless you. Like, it was a totally different person. So for me, I look at, they have to fit the Philly mold. Like, if you want to say like Lenny Dykstra was born to play in Philadelphia, right? Nails with his aggressive style of play, his big fat wad of chewing tobacco in his mouth, just crazy animal playing sport. Remember, people forget Lenny Dykstra was an MVP candidate in 1993. So that's why I said, I don't want to limit it to just one era or like one group of players. When I make this list, I want it to be a top 10 list that I can sit back and smile and say, yeah, those guys, them guys, you know what I mean? That's what I want to do with it. And like I said, just because you're a legendary player doesn't mean you always fit. Like, I know people will be like, well, Mike Schmidt has to be on the list. But, like, I never thought of Mike Schmidt as, like, I always saw him as an elite player, but not necessarily, like, Philly, bleeding Philly like a Darren Dalton would. Like, to me, Darren Dalton, he was so Philly. He was tough. He was hardworking. He was a leader. And he kind of looked Philly too. Like, he had this, like, rugged look to him. He looked like, yeah, he could be in a movie, but he also looked like he would be like the rugged cowboy hand of the movie, not like the villain of the movie. Like, he looked like he belonged in, like, a John Wayne movie or something. You know what I mean? The Philly athlete doesn't look Broadway. They don't look like Joe Namath, right? When you think of Philly athlete, you don't think of, for example, Cole Hamels, World Series MVP. Great player, legendary player, but, like, California guy. That's why Chase Utley is a little bit of a conflict, because he feels like a hardworking grinder, but he's also a California guy. You know what I mean? Ryan Howard, he was a Midwest guy. Ryan Howard was, I'm from St. Louis. I'm a Midwest guy. I show up and do my job kind of thing. So, I mean, that's kind of why I'm delineating how we quantify this list for tomorrow. We've already gotten some recommendations for the list, and we'll discuss that tomorrow with Nick Earnshaw when he fills it with Mike Gill with me here on the Sports Bash tomorrow for a happy hour Friday on 97.3 ESPN. Before we get out of here, Team USA did win in their semifinal. They came from behind and they beat Serbia. Okay, so the Avengers did beat Thanos, which is the good news. What's interesting, though, is that most of this run, Team USA has not covered the spread. They didn't cover it against Serbia. They didn't cover it against South Sudan. They covered it against Puerto Rico, though. They didn't cover it against most teams they played. Right now, the line is set at 13.5. I would be inclined to say that I'm not feeling that number. They might win by 8 to 10, but I don't see them winning by 14 or more on Saturday. France got a lot of length, a lot of athletes, and some solid shooters. This could be a closer game than people are expecting. All right, thanks everybody texting into the show today. Thanks to Chris Frank from NJ Advanced Media, Andrew DiCecco from InsideTheBirds.com, Mike Golic Jr. from DraftKings, and thank you for listening to 97.3 ESPN.
Westwood One Sports presents this special update on the 2024 Summer Games. Team USA men's basketball was pushed to the limit in the semifinals, but the Americans pushed back and dropped Serbia 95-91. The U.S. climbed out of a 17-point hole in the first half. Stephen Curry, 36 points. LeBron James had his second career Olympic triple-double. Team USA will play for a fifth consecutive gold medal Saturday against France in a rematch from Tokyo. On the track at Stade de France, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone was handed a golden crown by her husband, Andre. She is the undeniable queen of the 400-meter hurdles. McLaughlin-Levrone shattered her own world record as she collected back-to-back gold medals. Letsile Tobogo delivers Botswana its first ever Olympic gold. Tobogo, the surprise winner of the men's 200 meters. Noah Lyles, who won the 100, fought to bronze despite testing positive for COVID 2 days ago. With this Summer Games update, I'm Ted Emmerich, Westwood One Sports.